What is up, friends? Happy Friday. You made it through your week, and now you get to celebrate with some collegiate Overwatch. Hope you're doing well. My name is Jeff, here with Sam as we get into week 4. We've got a banger of a match here right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, it's two names that if you've been following collegiate at any rate, you know exactly at least one of these teams, and well, the other team probably for their varsity, but it's Fisher Navy versus the BSC Bobcats. And we were kind of discussing this match. The Fisher Navy group, think about it. It's a deep team. There's a big school with plenty of talent, but the Bobcats really are just a phenomenal team over these past few years and only continuing to grow into a better squad.
Yeah, we'll take a look at those rosters here directly. And it's the Bobcats I'm really keeping an eye on here heading into this match to see how they stand up against, what has traditionally been a top tier, tried and true squad, in Fisher Navy. Now, there have been changes in rosters on both sides. So talking about that BSC squad on the right-hand side here, initially, you'll notice, Peace, Ninwai, Pantera, all new names here to this roster. Looking back at, some competition over the past couple months, you might have seen a couple of these names around, and Ninwai and Peace specifically.
Yeah, if you've been watching any of the OWCS, you've seen that they've been playing for teams. If you've been following Jeff in particular, you know that you've seen them even more recently. But they are two players coming off of incredible runs into OWCS and are making names for themselves. So to see them both kind of get into the Bobcat squad and now find, a more permanent collegiate-based home for the time being, I think really gives the Bobcats a new level of elevation. And on the other side, Fisher Navy, like you said, there's changes coming through there, and there's always going to be changes, getting promoted in and out, from up based on who is playing, who is doing well, what year are you. But this Fisher Navy squad's no joke either. They also are doing well. Both teams doing phenomenally well in the Overwatch homecoming event that we've seen so far. So, I mean, Fisher Navy really can't write off, even though Bobcats are only increasing their power level.
Yeah, Fisher Navy, you've got staples such as Faded and Abs who have, just names that come to mind as soon as I think of the Fisher squad. Have been there forever. Kind of leading in the new chapter here for Fisher, Pirate being one of those newcomers. We also have Talisman, who is new to the roster as well. We might see in the DPS lineup a little bit later on. And this is, I was talking to Faded just a little bit before we went live here and was saying that they feel like this is the biggest test that they've had so far. That, and that this new squad hasn't quite been tested at the limit, and that the expectations that they have on themselves. And I think tonight will be a big proving ground for them here today.
Yeah, I agree. This is probably going to be one of their bigger teams. When you look at, a lot of the names and colleges that appear at the top of, lists of, be it here at NECC, at NACE, Overwatch League Homecoming, they're a name that pops up very frequently. Oh, yeah. So I do think that when you look at this Fisher squad, they have, like you said, I think you said it best. I think they have a lot to prove in this regard. I think they have so much to prove if they want to look and kind of step out of the shadow of the Fisher Esports name.
And they did that a little bit over the summer. We saw a lot of these players participating in Face It under a team called Voyager. So, yes. As Odos, Unread, Faded, Forgotten was part of that crew as well. Big Fisher name. We will be missed here today. They were keeping warm and making sure that they were keeping their chops up in the offseason so that they could be at their best here for this collegiate season. Let's take a look at our map pool here for this season coming up. It is going to be a fixed order. We will have a loser pick going through. And, of course, you do have that Flashpoint Clash option there in map 4.
Yeah, and additionally in map 2, you will either choose hybrid or escort, which you'll see the other way down the road back in 4. So a lot of flexibility. I really do think this counter pick format now with these changes really gives the loser just a very unique and great advantage. So even if you aren't a control team, you still have a lot you can bounce back from.
It's good. I like giving power to the loser pick.
Yeah.
I feel like it really helps to not have so many 3-0s, and you can kind of tailor the match to where you think would suit your strengths.
Yeah.
The more options the loser pick gets, I think the better it is for competition.
Oh, I fully agree. I think when you look at especially you know, how Overwatch is growing and changed. You know, we've seen the old formats of, you know, here's 4 modes, you know, everybody used to dread going to 2CP, but now when you can just actually avoid, you know, a mode or a map you don't like, it just gives you so much more ability to kind of change things up. But speaking of change things up, I don't know, Jeff, that we're going to see too much change from the current meta, even with this last patch. You know, things are still very consistent. So Fisher Navy showing us pretty much what I'm expected. The Bobcats, if pieces probably could actually roll out in this Genji, and I don't hate that. I do like the ability just to get a little bit more of a fade on that.
Genji's actually very strong right now.
Yeah, so
I'll actually expect Atlas to swap to a Genji or something of the like.
Yeah.
Tracer's kind of fallen a little bit out since Juno has become so prominent.
Yes.
And there, indeed, Atlas will make that swap headed into this first sub-map.
Yeah, I mean, he's just the better duelist in so many regards, especially when it comes to getting past the bodyguard or break.
Well, and kind of catching up and playing through the air as well. You got that verticality option with the Genji that can be a little bit more difficult in certain maps with the Tracer. Tracer also got a bit of a nerf here recently.
Yeah.
To just her straight overall primary fire output. So anyway, early damage coming in from Fisher onto the backline. Pantera and Proto both. We're taking a lot of shots and they've kind of been kept on the outskirts. Looks like Fisher's starting to get some percentage built up, but Pantera's coming back in. Doesn't want to give him first cap for free. We'll go ahead and step on. Good shots in from Manually, trying to whittle down onto Faded early in the fight. So Pantera still finally finds a way in. Lands the energy javelin, dash through. Oh, but Peace gets cut down. What a peel there from Fisher Navy. All of them back up to Elephant beautifully, and they grab cap along the way.
Yes, and they managed to hold on to the ring. They used their ring first, which gave them a little bit of a comeback here. But they're still looking to complete kills, and Atlas is going to be there to clean it up. Yeah, the DPS line finally being able to wear down now that that consistency of just sustainability is gone. A great read from them. That was a really long, slow fight, too. So, I mean, you can see it. Most of these ult charges are pretty much the peak of where we're going to be, but Peace noticeably just did not get to poke as much as Atlas did. So Atlas being closer to the blade is going to be such a game changer. It may mean that another long fight just goes to Fisher Navy simply because they will be able to pull the blade first here.
Got a bit of a rally advantage as well on that. Bobcat's trying to come in from underneath. Abs is going to pop an early and accelerate. Ooh. Oh, no! The Deadeye gets deflected back. Oh, that's one way to get an extra ult charge there for Peace, and some added advantage here for BSC as they try to move on to this point. Orbital right now in from Fisher Navy, right over the objective. Both the Reeses trying to hang out in their own orbital right. Here comes that early rally, but Ninwai gets theirs up in time. Terra Surges traded out, and oh my goodness, everything just broke. Vaden gets a kill off of that, Manually returns the favor. And these teams are going tit for tat here throughout this fight. Mainly just trying to keep Abs from getting entrance here on this left-hand side. Who is playing DPS, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, that's a bit of a change of pace, but we talked about the changes that Fisher Navy really has kind of had to make and still that change that they're going through. So, I mean, Av's playing fairly well. Again, just helping to keep Peace in check, who's been fairly quiet, and that's what you need to do with your Fisher Navy. You cannot let this flanker get on an angle, but now with Peace having the only blade up and nothing in the way, I'm really keeping an eye on it. It has to be huge.
Well, there's already one shot down, and Red falls as well, make it 3, 4 for a Peace.
Ace.
No, the javelin interrupted. No, Peace gets it. That's 5 for Peace. Yeah, oh my.
Beautifully done. That's a highlight reel for later. I mean, that's the best case scenario for that is, again, especially for Peace, because you know there's nothing. Everything just got spent in that last one. You know your blade is basically a free win, and it lets you at least get a little bit more into the old point bank here. They'll tick over to 40. You know, it still leads a couple of fights. It's, again, back in the neutral here. Pirate is a little bit ahead in the Ray fight, so that could be to the detriment of the Bobcats here.
Yeah, but if Peace is going to keep getting kills like that, Bobcats are going to be fine with it. They're not worried about macro economy. Just give Peace the controls and let Peace go assassinate. He manages to dodge that javelin. Yeah, let the Orisa take the javelin. That's fine. That's fine. Rallies up for both squads, and it's a little bit of tiny Overwatch as they fight for this hallway. Looks like Fisher's going to opt to rotate around. Still plenty of time to make this move. Both teams here with Orbital.
Yeah. Admittingly, like you said, Peace has been a little bit quiet aside from that blade, but Atlas has been showing a lot.
Anyone's going to find two with the Deadeye right out of the gate. Ninwai is going to double down onto Pirate. And there's just no supports left here for Fisher to work with. This is BSC taking this to their last fight.
That's what I was keeping an eye out for and haven't been too loud on, is the teamwork, the plays that come with this Orisa. Yeah, she's big and tanky, and that's why you love her, but the ability to kind of set your teammates up for play is something that is so important in this meta right now. Peace again.
With first pick, those first bloods are so important. Fisher just fighting for the back foot each time. Atlas will even the odds with that kill on to Abs. Has two. Oh, but Peace gets
again.
the dash through. And look at the double down, triple down, if you would. Whatever damage you do to BSC, Peace will unleash on you tenfold, and they will take round one.
I mean, I don't want to say that Peace put a lot of work in there, Jeff, but it's hard not to look at what happened whenever Peace had that blade. I mean, it was basically a free win. It was almost a guaranteed win. Thankfully, there were no ultimates across from them. There was nothing to do that. But his mechanics have been so clean. Like you said, he's been scoring those first picks, he's making those first bloods, and also just controlling the space so well. Just clearly has an incredible understanding of how to play Genji.
And even if, you know, I was going to say, even if you're not getting the work done in the neutral, but Peace was. Peace was getting the work done in the neutral. And you're getting 5K and 3K blades on top of it. You couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah, say, when's the last time we saw, you know, a 4-piece out of a dry blade?
I'm about to say, unassisted.
Yeah, unassisted. No nano, nothing else. That's not common. Peace going to go over to the Pharah here, so creating that space and controlling that way. I do like it. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Abs, who's already just deleted by Proto there.
Two quick picks. Don't underestimate how much damage those torpedoes will do. Ace was doing a bulk of the damage at the front of that. You can see leading the server in ult charge. Very indicative of how much early work Peace was getting in.
Yeah. Atlas is going to go to match now. It's going to be interesting, though, because Peace is, again, already ahead in that ult charge, so you have a lot of work to do. I mean, it just... Again, that's just what happens when you kind of come out the gate in an unexpected comp. You do run the Pharah here sometimes, especially since the air control is so good. I mean, and Peace, again, just has incredible mechanics for this, and this is a lot of work cut out for Atlas.
It's such a fast-paced meta. Having, you know, the Pharah to be able to keep up and be able to affect from range. You can clearly see why they're there. Oh, and Atlas just gets picked off. Atlas trying to fight from range, and Peace comes in just like an F-22 to snipe him out of the sky. Now pouring some more rocket-style range, 76 towards the barrage, looping around and getting closer. Fisher looking a little awkward, gonna end up trying to back up across that small little walkway. They shoot Peace as they disengage, but unfortunately they've dropped 2-3 themselves.
To Fisher Navy's credit, this isn't what you're seeing very commonly across most of these maps. This is one of those kind of, you know, specific map picks, sub-map even picks. So it is a little bit differently, and especially because Peace is keeping the tempo. Peace is forcing engagements way earlier and just getting in the face of Atlas and also into Abs, which is really forcing them off. We're used to a slow meta here, Jeff, and Fisher Navy just can't keep up with the race.
He's got their back in a corner. Fortunately, there's a Mega in that corner. But here comes the rest of BSC trying to couple with it. A Wordle thrown in. They even have a rally should they choose. They're just going to run everybody out of kitchen. They're happy with that.
Yeah, great disengage. That no reason to take a fight. You still get one more shot to stop this. You have a couple of ults in, but
That's going to be at least one. No, can't secure the kill onto Abs. Now the Deadeye in from the back. What a play out of Unread, able to get the cookie and to keep Abs alive through that initial burst of damage. Manually, he's actually going to get one pick with the Deadeye. Terrorists are thrown in. Double down, triple down. Bobcats end up winning it out in the end, despite Peace folly.
I mean, it was a great distraction, if nothing else. You know, sometimes you just make those plays to set your team up for success. It was maybe a little bit aggressive, but in the end, like you said, a folly that still works out pretty well. The Bobcats look incredibly phenomenal on the back of those new pickups. I mean, Peace and Nenway just, they understand what they need to do in this given moment, and this is the 5K. I don't need to say anything about this. Like, we know what it's going to be. But I do think that when you look at the Bobcats, just they understand the machine is there. It's working fairly well, and they understand that, look, if we just trust our players to do exactly what we need to do and trust our engages, we can win these fights.
Also want to highlight Pantera, the other new pickup on the squad. Not somebody who has as much notoriety as far as namesake. Not somebody we were seeing play in Stage 4 OWCS, at least not most recently. But no, holy cow, what an addition! And you You get somebody like that on your team that's kind of the new up-and-comer and is hungry to get better, and Pantera looks like one of those. And also, as a Dallas native, I respect it. I respect it.
Yeah, I understand that entirely, but you are correct, because Pantera is also just looking so much better in the tank fight. I don't know the stats off him, but I don't really think I've seen Pantera really have many deaths on the scoreboard. So even just looking at it, you know, that's exactly what you want out of your tank player, is to just continue to control the space, be able to survive and rotate their abilities correctly. Those micro decisions and those, you know, just knowing when to crack into those abilities just does so much for the Bobcats.
I mean, timing and positioning are everything in Overwatch.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, you know, it's a 1-0 lead, I mean, and a clean 2-0 there in that map, so will be Fisher's pick heading into map 2. I mean, again, you get to choose either hybrid or escort, and it's hard to tell just from what little sample size we've seen here, Sam, which way they'd want to go.
Yeah. And considering that Fisher also picked Nepal, I'm also kind of interested, because, you know, what about Nepal was an interesting pick. You did get to play a lot of verticality. There's a lot of high ground that's important. So I'm wondering now if they might choose to avoid that, considering they've seen the Pharah. They've seen how Peace navigates the up and down verticals of the Genji. Maybe they just, I know Ramatra is kind of off the board now. Those changes are coming through. So I'm wondering if maybe we just try to keep it a little bit more flat and try to focus on, you know, controlling the space that way. Because in that first fight, I was actually, you know, very impressed by Fisher, you know, just letting the Genji control the flank, and the way they set themselves up to control the majority of that shrine space was a very textbook maneuver.
Yeah. I mean, and okay, so we know we're going to hybrid.
Hybrid.
Yeah. And I mean, it's hard to deviate from this meta too much at this point. Yeah, it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go, it's kind of ground and pound. I mean, you might be able to go to some kind of high ground and perhaps pull out the diva. If I don't think Faded has that in their repertoire, though. I don't think of Faded as being a diva player. Perhaps some Winston, but Winston's kind of out of favor right now too.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much been the Orisa ground and pound. Every once in a while, we've seen like the Junker Queen ground dive, where you'll get the Lucio Curie, like Tracer Genji or Sombra Genji alongside a Junker Queen. But going into hybrid escort, I wouldn't expect to see that. Maybe, you know, on push or flashpoint or something like that, we might see it. But
yeah,
well, there hasn't been much deviation from the Orisa, unfortunately.
No, but you did call it out earlier, Jeff. The Winston on a brig variation of like the dive kind of set is.
Yes, we have seen a little bit of that.
We've seen a little bit of that. So is that something that maybe they have in their pocket that maybe they're considering? I'm running my hybrid maps in my head, and I'm just trying to fight the urge to say they're just going to go to King's Row. But when you look at all the other things, the other options there, it's like, well, Hollywood's pretty much high ground dominant. You look at Numbani, you know, for capture point, really needs that high ground.
Maybe they just by the way. I was hoping we'd see Numbani because
you're not going to see it. No,
I know. We had the 4 map changes come through, and Numbani is one of those. We might have actually gotten to see some high-level play on some of these redesigned maps. So I was kind of hoping we might see Numbani just for that fact, but no. BSC are actually the one to say we want to eliminate that kind of high ground-oriented map. So that is kind of telling, I will say.
Tale as old as time. Song as old as rhyme. We're going to King's Row. And
one thing you have to be aware of here is Peace is just going to pull the Pharah back out.
Yeah, I mean,
almost guaranteed.
Yeah, like I don't see a reason you don't want to bring that Pharah out. Yeah. Maybe, you know, and then when you get to 3, well, he just goes back to the Genji. Like, I'm not fully sold on it. The one thing I do think that this does give, though, that maybe Fisher has something in their pocket in regards to that. It is a little bit more mid-rangey, so you do get the availability of Ashe and Bob. So maybe there's something a little bit more to that. You get a lot more damage over time with Ashe. You do get a lot more sightlines to play in before the fall-off hits. So I'm wondering if maybe we're going to, you know, put the Cowboy in the Saloon for now and bring out the Bandit.
Yeah, might have to, in particular on defense.
Yeah.
You know, traditionally, I think we have, I say traditionally, just recently, I think we have seen more Ashe on Kings than we have Cassidy. So that would track there. And I mean, this is really going to be a test for the DPS. And can Fisher handle Peace in manually here?
Yeah, and I think the pressure in a lot of regards comes onto Abs there, who has been playing the hit scan, and I don't envy them. That is such a tough position considering Peace just quite literally, slashed their way through your team on Nepal. So, the pressure is on in that regard, and I do think that, like I said, there has to be a reason for it. They're looking for it, and I'm wondering if maybe the Ash is something to do with that.
And we get an immediate DC.
Oh, look, sometimes the mice just run away. That's just the way it is. You can't keep them contained forever, Jeff.
Apparently, that's what happened. Somebody's mouse ran away.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Better to have it happen now than like mid-team fight. All right, that's fine. Like we're still chilling. I'm not like in hype mode. Like it's not like this drop me off of a cliff kind of thing. No fan wants to be watching a hype engagement, Sam, and then it just suddenly gets paused.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Oh, that is the worst experience, and then it maybe sits there for another 30 minutes or so. But nope.
Oh, got him.
Take that, production squad.
Take that, prod.
Take that, prod. Get wrecked. But it does kind of give us a minute here, Jeff, to kind of double back because we had talked about the history of the Bobcats, picking up these new players. There was kind of a little bit of a question of what's going to happen. How well are these players slotting in? How well is Peace and how is Nenway coming in? And the answer to that has been phenomenally. It seems like they're carrying over everything that they've put together from the OWCS runs and from their scrims to really kind of, make a squad that is on everybody's radar now. And I think that if you are any of these other colleges, going into future events, going into the playoff time, I think you have to be considering that the Bobcats are going to be a threat down the road. That 5K is going to get talked about. And if it doesn't, it should. I will scream about it because that was a phenomenal drive late.
Well, and it's one of those things where BSC are demanding that everybody put respect back on their name. I mean, they had been a strong school. They've been a top 10 school for a while here in collegiate Overwatch. And then spring 24, kind of fell off hard, man. Yeah. Like, they got hit bad by that. Although season 9 changes, there was a massive change in meta. And BSC struggled to adapt. Like, really, really struggled to adapt. They only ended up getting in 24th in OWCC group stage there in the spring championship, which was abysmal for them. I mean, way below their projected finish. And so coming into fall 24, they got to remind everybody, hey, no, we really are a top 10 school. Like, never mind that fluke of a result. This is what BSC is all about. So, I mean, they do kind of, they're playing with a chip on their shoulder today here.
Oh, yeah. And then let's talk about the fact that, let's just assumingly or guessingly, let's say they go ahead and 3-0 Fisher Navy here, one of their academy teams, one of their up and coming teams. Imagine how that then looks for the Fisher esports squad to go, our very good Fisher Navy squad, that has done phenomenally well in this division, just got absolutely trounced on this map. Maybe we need to make sure we're keeping them in our check, and maybe we need to actually respect that. But I mean,
that could be a rivalry before you get off that point, because those two played week 1.
Yes,
and it goes to map 5. And I mean, remember, BSC has 60% new roster, so the very first week, they're not quite in their rhythm yet. They don't have their synergy built yet. I can't wait to see a rematch between what feels inevitable between the Fisher main squad and this BSC squad.
I have to agree, but hey, it looks like we're now in, and now that we're in here, Fisher Navy did not go change anything, it looks like, but the Bobcats are looking like they are going to bring in the Winston that we were kind of discussing. We'll see if that stays.
It's just a bubble.
I think it's just a bubble.
To protect Snipe.
But Peace is going over to the May, and I do like that just to create a little bit more isolation and put some pressure on Faded on the front line. Pantera has been performing incredibly well, but it does give this great isolation here.
Oh, and Atlas is already in trouble. Peace is overextended a bit, though. That is not a good place to use a cryo freeze. As soon as you come out of that, but if, the rest of your team all goes with you, it could work. Still, the dangerous move cost BSC at a 2-to-1 trade.
I mean, Peace has been pushing the tempo of the game, though, since moment 1, so I'm not totally shocked, but I don't think the rest of the team quite got the memo there, so it's going to be back to spawn for now. Given that up and going back to the Genji makes, if they stay in this May, I wouldn't be mad, but giving it up to go onto a Genji, I don't even think I would hate either, but Manually is going to go over to the Cassidy, just we're not playing the long range. Sure, that's fine. I mean, it was a great thought, but it tells me the communication drop for the Bobcats. Run it back one more time. This time you get it. You just have to get past Unred's alley here.
Oh, there's so much sustain now in this composition.
Yeah.
It'd be so hard to kill anybody. Ooh, early damage down into Manually and Peace, though. They don't quite make a clean rotation. Not everybody is up on this high ground. He's, yeah, caught down in Hotel. Never made it up. So 5v4 here is a great read from Fisher Navy. Gives them the advantage. Now Bobcats are looking to take this high ground. Atlas won't stick around too long. Let's see what BSC are able to do with this.
They're going to try to push back, but they are leading in the ultimate economy, so they should be in a better position to just close this out. And this only benefits Fisher for them to take the time and to force the Bobcats to play this slow. Peace can't afford to get punished again here, especially coming into this all-important blizzard that could just swing the fight.
There's an orbital ray out from BSC. That was launched from the back window, and Fisher just rotate inside the Hotel, disengaging from it. They do give up a little bit of progress, but now they're able to counterpunch with their own orbital. That is both DPS ults out. I don't see anybody frozen up. Rally is there. Unread drops back onto the point. Faded does go down, though. So the cornerstone of this defense now absent as Atlas was looking to bring it back. It's going to end up being 1-for-1 onto the DPS. Abs taking Proto out of the fight, though. Could...
Two abs is
we're down to a 2v3. Like, there was opportunity there, Sam.
Yeah. I mean, two abs' credit. Yeah, stop hiding. Two abs' credit. They were keeping Peace in check. I do think that abs has looked a bit stronger on this, on this hold. And, it's 4 minutes. That was a relatively quick take for the point segment. But I do think that all things considered, you got, you would have liked to have hold a little bit longer, but you forced the Bobcats. You forced a lot out of them. But manually opening it up again, this is just a consistent... This happens all the time, Jeff. Somebody, either the DPS of Manually or Peace, finds an opening, and Fisher Navy just has to disengage from it.
BFC did a good job of focusing down Faded. I mean, 2 fights in a row. Erase has been the first to fall.
Yep. I mean... No lasers really in sight. Both are pretty close. Both Terra Surges are up. This is fairly neck and neck here, Jeff, so they might just try to play this corner and play for the space advantage on Fisher's Navy side. They are pushing back, but they need to create some sort of a isolation to get advantage here.
Yeah, it's a second speed ring used here from BSC, and they're able to just kind of get on top of the defense. The Deadeye getting Atlas a result of that beautiful push, and the timing on that. Terra Surge looks big there for Fade. Yeah!
Wow.
No one was able to get out of the way of that. And with a defensive orbital ray in the mix, this defense is going to hold.
It did cost them Ray. Like you said, it was very late, but it was exactly what they needed. It was a 3-ult combo, realistically, and that's maybe a little more pricey than you wanted, but to get a stop and buy the time off the clock is still worth it. Protoss holding onto their laser with not much in the way, but also not much to pair with it. Peace is going to have Blade as well, so the Laser Blade is probably the likely combo, and if Peace is probably going to hit something big here.
And the orbital's right at a touch early. I mean, Fisher just disengaged, as that was very clearly advertised, telegraphing that play. But Peace coming in is able to find Pirate nevertheless. Whether they knew it was coming or not, it doesn't look like Fisher are able to stop the Dragon Blade. Now Faded out of the fight, and this will be a cap for sure.
I mean, that was no fear going into a rallying brig. I'm impressed at that. Peace is just playing very fearlessly and handled that well, just controlling the high ground to be a late stagger onto that as they capture point. But that was just a great read from Peace, just controlled the high space above them and just kept unread looking. So, I mean, again, just no fear, maybe a little bit too aggressive from Peace at times, but it pays off. So I think that's something that Fisher Navy can really capitalize on, is punishing that aggression out of Peace.
Still, I mean, you can see these wide peaks from Peace. Has to use the deflect early as Faded tries to go in with the spin, but takes an energy javelin to the face. Now rally up from BSC to try to punish the back line. Faded's able to somewhat regroup, gets isolated down in a Mega Room, and first of all, once again, here comes Peace. I mean, just a host of targets in front of the Genji.
Oh, no,
Manually,
the Blade.
Pantera there to help out with it. Ooh.
Lost Blade in that too. He would have loved that for the retake, but it's gonna come down. I say I don't even think there's gonna be a last second. But Faded has Terra Surge, so it has to come up big again. There's nothing else. They have laser on the way.
Well, that I got Peace, so that's a good start for it. I've seen defenses hold with less.
Yeah.
And you've gotten NY kind of caught, completely isolated down low. So defense stabilizes
that's
here
huge.
about the 2-minute mark. Yeah, massive.
Not needing to commit laser into that is so huge. It gives them a little bit more, it gives them a little bit more fight to match the laser from the side of Bobcats, they're still behind in the rest of the ultimates. So it is going to be a bit harder in a longer fight when you look at, the grab, look at the grab and, the yank combo, yank shoot combo that's going to be coming their way as well. Pirate really has the difficult duty of making sure this laser hits to counter out that combo.
They're forced to just respond to BSC's orbital ray, and Manuel's already got the kill. Pirates down, out of the fight, faded as well. And this might just be done and dusted here. Everything thrown in from BSC. It was 4 ultimates there to cap it out, and just overwhelming odds. They get the job done. Buck 27 left in the clock.
Could have been worse. You were sitting at, 4, prior to the 2-minute point. So still very good. They really did manage. Fisher managed to kind of prevent the Bobcats from just chaining a lot of these wins together and letting it roll along. Again, Peace has been a phenomenal player. I do think that is, the strength and the weakness for the side of the Bobcats, though. Peace goes in and makes aggressive plays, and makes big plays, but also has kind of, like you said, kind of pushes a little too far sometimes, makes a little bit of risky decisions. If you can exploit that and catch the Bobcats out when Peace maybe goes a little bit too far, Fisher Navy can capitalize on that. I think we've done it before, and it's shown that may be their path to success.
I mean, the fight that the fights Fisher won on defense is the fights that they're able to find Peace early. I'm particularly thinking back on the May. I don't think it really happened once Peace made the swap to the Genji. I don't think they died first, but on the May that was the case. The Genji's just such a good job of towing the line. How do you catch them off? It doesn't feel like they're ever overextending. They just put the right amount of pressure down.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Is just like you said, the pressure is there. Peace is just continuing to find these off angles, the high grounds, these corners where they can just pressure in, just chuck those shurikens in and get the damage in. But it's a tough ask, but Fisher Navy still has the ability to kind of capitalize on this. I want to see them make an adaptation, and again, just keep an eye on Peace. I want to see the comms tighten up and just make sure they can call out when Peace goes a little bit too far, because Pantera isn't always there to protect them, even though Nenway has been pretty solid about that.
It's a split defense. Pantera staying down low, so this is very interesting. I think one of the biggest variations on the Kings Row defense is keeping your tank down, play around Statue, and to help out in Hotel. And you can see the value in that as Pantera's able to get in the thick of the fight, and there's a good first fight win for the defense BSC.
Again, Peace just opening it up, just finds the first pick, and the rest of the Bobcats follow in. You can kind of almost hear that, the main shot calling almost feels like it's coming out of Peace of just going, I got to pick Swarm, and they are following. Peace leading into that Blade also, so they are a little bit ahead, but Pantera has almost four times the charge on Faded, so you can really see where the damage is coming in from the Bobcat side.
Well, with Proto down, Pantera could be in a world of trouble here playing this aggressively. I mean, you're easy to get pounced on. That Terra Surge, though, I don't know if Fisher were able to track that one as fast as that ultimate came up. Faded got separated, not able to get topped off, and you know what? Pantera's aggression is rewarded. Yeah,
and hugely so. Manually just going to clean that up. And again, Fisher Navy, they have laser. How are they keeping track of the Bobcats, though? Because Peace's Blade is up, Manually's High Noon is up. Proto's a little behind on laser, but we both know that these DPS from the Bobcats are just deadly. Pirates' use of this laser is going to kind of dictate how this fight plays out. They have to kind of almost save it for Peace's Blade if they're going to get value.
I mean, either that or go fast. I think the way this defense is separated, maybe you just go Hotel and see if you can isolate the Juno. It's going to be the Deadeye. There you go.
Ooh,
that'll isolate the Juno. Proto out of the fight. Fisher's got their orbital ray into the mix. BSC does not. But nevertheless, BSC has the player advantage in this. Pantera has flipped the map. Rally is kind of fading here on the point and just keeping Faded alive. You still have Peace kind of challenging from the top, one tick picked up.
Two people are there. Peace and Pantera are there. Peace has Blade. There's nothing to stop this, short of Atlas coming in and kind of clipping the Blade.
Yeah, there's the retake on the back of it. And Pantera's able to move in and get set up. Faded's going to respond with their own Terra Surge. Looks like everybody's going to back out. Faded's just going to get that 500, and Peace steps into the mix. This moment too soon. Trying to move in on that orbital ray, but Peace, that was one of the few times we've seen Peace genuinely overextend, come in a bit early. Still, the job's not done here for Fisher. Atlas is going to have to pull off the Dragon Blade just to finish this fight.
That's fine. Abs kind of ended up on Tracer anyway, so you're kind of in a full reset. This is last technical minute. You throw everything you have this because let's go home otherwise. So that was a really quick pulse bomb from Abs. Wow.
That was really fast.
Wow. Holy crap. I didn't see that until they threw it. Holy crap. That was a fast pulse bomb on that Tracer.
Abs is traditionally a support player, by the way.
Yeah. Wow.
Just in case anybody out there doesn't know.
Wow. Oh, well, making a great case. I mean, I almost kind of want to see them stay on that Tracer with just how quickly and phenomenally I was doing. Yeah, she's gotten some hits, but I don't know that you're winning, and protecting the backline on that Cassidy as well. I kind of almost like that switch.
The Cassidy provides so much in the front in the battle for the tanks, though.
Yeah.
And you can see they need it. Pantera is just getting in everybody's face here. When the Battle Cattle gets that aggressive and that angry, I mean, you need everything you can get, and still it wasn't enough for Fisher.
No, and now Fisher's gonna, have to fight the literal way out of spawn. You can see it. Bobcats are gonna try to push right up there, just not giving a single inch here. Wow. That's some aggression. I love this. This is a peace style maneuver right here.
I don't know that I've seen this work in the Juno era, though.
Yeah.
Like, we saw the speed ring come out here from Fisher. I'm surprised they don't just run through house and flip the map. Flipping the map is so powerful here. They do manage to go through house, and importantly, it doesn't cost Fisher any ultimates. BSC were trying to get the rally out, force him to use rally just to get out of spawn, but Fisher don't take the bait on that one.
No. And meanwhile, this whole time, Peace has been holding onto this blade. It's due out any minute now.
Yep, there's the blade. There's the orbital go with it. So we're gonna get that laser blade. It's the first I've heard it coined that. I love that, and it's gonna work out. This Fisher will finally get this cart moving here through point B.
I mean, it is what it takes. That orbital laser is just so strong. No blade needed there, but we're looking at the Peace blade coming in here because that blade has been on hold since the capture point segment. So I'm really, again, high expectations for this blade. It is the only one up for them, but they do have to get past the rallying brig. Peace has done it before. I don't expect it to. I expect it to try again, but knowing that Faded is holding on to this Terra Surge makes it infinitely harder.
Try to combo with your own Terra Surge.
Yeah.
Work a couple times.
Doesn't
Obviously,
work.
Fisher could do the same.
Yeah.
Fisher have the positioning. There it is. They're going to do the Terra Blade combo. Yank everybody in, cut them down to size. That was finally pulls it out and strikes true. That's 2 falling under the blade, and that's going to be enough for the cap.
Yep, that'll be a good cap in the 11th hour, sub 1 minute. That's, again, I spoke about this on Nepal. This is a combo-heavy Overwatch right now. It's very important to make sure you get, and use those pulls into your lasers, into your blades, into your Deadeyes. That's, kind of one of the ways that this comp is formed. It's very pokey, but it does allow for that. Oh my God, Peace.
Oh, Peace doesn't even get a chance to use the blade here. As Fisher have now completely started setting the tempo. We were talking about how Peace was setting the tempo on their attack. Fisher have definitely wrestled it back, and they are playing by the beat of their own drum here.
I love that because they're not giving Peace the ability to set up their own, their plays what they want. Peace constantly opens up those first bloods, and now that they're pushing them, they're really kind of forcing him back and forcing him into this. It's Peace, you have this blade. There's nothing in your way. There's a laser off. You've been holding on to it for several minutes now. Let's get some value from it. That's your only way to stop this from rolling across the line.
Peace is heading over to that back alley. Does end up pulling it out, trying to chase down too. Abs lands the flashbang and the shot. Peace will get nothing out of that blade. Completely dulled. Here comes Fisher now trying to push forward. Pirate throws the orbital into the mix, manually fitting off with the Deadeye Atlas. Oh, the deflect fades. Perfectly timed. Pull the trigger there from manually. Oh, the orbital just keeping everybody from Fisher topped up. Can't work through all of that healing. Comparable time banks here with 3 points on the board apiece.
Much different look from the Fisher squad side. Maybe it's because we're at Kings Row and everybody practices it, but they seem to be getting, they seem to be understanding what went wrong on Nepal. You can see that their Peace is not nearly in control of how quickly this game is moving. And once they're punishing that and keeping Peace in check, they're able to set their own pace, and they're able to do that. Atlas and Abs have looked phenomenal. They were much quieter in that first control point segment, and they look phenomenal here as well. Faded still needs a little bit of support, but overall, the Fisher Navy squad, this looks like the Fisher Navy squad we're more used to seeing.
We'll get a chance to equalize here. If good old Hottie theory is true, then Fisher have got this one in the bag. We're headed in to push all tied up.
And that does bode well for them. Again, if you can go into push maps where, verticality doesn't necessarily help, you don't have to worry about verticality. You don't have to necessarily worry about Peace dropping in from you on a corner. That's great for you. I mean, that's something that does work. I don't expect to see many things change here, except maybe Peace might be reeled in a little bit, and I think that collar does need to get yanked just a little bit for the side of the Bobcats. There's probably about 2 fights, so let's see if we can keep Peace alive long enough to stall out for those 2 fights.
Body theories, of course, the team with lower time bank has the advantage because of overtime spot.
Yep.
All right, Atlas didn't see anything they liked there at the initial Widowmaker peak. Already, I mean, buying 20 seconds off of the 60 time bank for Fisher to get something done. Beast is going to immediately head up top. And is this the over-aggressive play with Pirate and Faded out of the fight? Looking like it's the right play. Here comes Atlas to try to back it up. The shield bash in, but Peace has just got all the heals in the world. Good first fight here for the defense of BSC.
Yep, and there'll be about one last shot and just kind of keeping an eye on everything. This is just winning by map control. This is not necessarily winning, by ults, by mechanics. This is just controlling the space and putting the pressure again onto Fisher Navy. Bobcats just rend control of how we play the game, and they are winning again from it.
Ooh, has to fight tooth and nail just to get the touch in the first place. And then you got Abs rotating around on the flank. You got Atlas here on the high ground, not able to touch. Unread has to be the one to cycle in. Faded is off the board. There's still 4 Fisher player hitters. All right, now that number has been whittled down significantly without the tank. There just wasn't enough sustain. It's going to be a full hold here for the Bobcats.
Bobcats were just kind of set up from the beginning. They controlled the entirety of that space. They brought the fight when they wanted to. It fell right into their hands, Jeff. I don't see anything that, they're feeling good. So now if you're Fisher Navy, it's, you're basically the same situation. I don't think you're going to give up a free 20 seconds just kind of looking for a pick. But even if you do, a minute and 30 is still basically 1 to 2 fights max if you're quick about it.
Is it enough time to get ults? That's my question.
Yeah.
Is that extra 30 seconds enough to where you get into an ult cycle?
Maybe. I don't know. And because we're looking at what is the most important things you need to be. They asked for it.
You asked for it. That's it. Jay Silly to the battlefield, calling all Jay Sillies.
Look, I can. Do I have to really justify this? Because I can. I mean, the burst potential.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. I want to hear this.
No.
All right, let's justify this.
The burst potential from Junkrat. You can still hit your combos. I'm going to ignore the trap because that trap is going to get blown up. But in theory, you still have a pretty decent 1-2 combo in Junkrat. And if you're talking about making picks effectively and quick, yeah, he's pretty good at that. He's also really good at controlling space without having to physically be there, right? He has a lot of soft control in regards to I can just spam through, not hit them off the fences like that.
There you go.
But he can control those spaces very well. He doesn't have to put himself to danger, and he can contest the choke point. I don't hate it. It's just unusual.
I mean, and so they're leaving Abs down here to control Hotel.
Yeah.
We do see Faded ground level in front of Statue, with the rest of the 3 up on the high ground. Now, especially if you're anticipating a Genji, the Junkrat also can have some great value against that matchup. But Peace, in fact, did come out on the Mei, just as we saw for BSE's first attack. Walling up to this side, Pirate's been sent down low to help support Hotel. Faded in a bit of trouble. Wall broke. They're able to get Faded back inside, but BSE are starting to surround this point. Pantera's moved on to the objective. Faded has never gotten topped up and eventually will get whittled down, and that's the 33% that BSE needed. They're going to go up 2-0 here in the series.
It was a cute little trick. Almost worked, but the Mei is also good at controlling the space and just denying Junkrat the ability to do that. So a good read from Peace, once again. Just looking at that and just looking at that, like, that's a good read. You still have to kind of be flexible, right? There still are some pieces you can kind of adjust around in this meta. It's not as hard set as we all maybe like to believe it is. So, and then there's always just good old-fashioned fun, right? Just sometimes you bring out Junkrat because it does work, but the Bobcats aren't here for fun. They are here to make a statement.
Yeah, they are playing with a chip on their shoulder, indeed, looking to prove to the entire collegiate landscape that they belong in top 10, if not top 5. They are a match point here, an outstanding series for them so far. We'll see if they can close it out. We come back on map 3. It'll be Fisher Navy's pick when we head to push. We'll see you there in a minute.
What do you make of this up here? Just showed up in the yard a couple days
Has a
ago.
dog been digging in here?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Oh! Yeah. There's something in there.
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
despite going extras, it's going to be a close map there on Kings Row. BSE still come out on top, now 2-0 and on match point here in their Week 4 matchup.
And, well, we're going to get another favorite from everybody here as we move along to Push. It's going to be Runasapi, and it's one of those maps that, say what you will about Push, the mode itself, but this has definitely become the favorite of most of the community, more than likely just due to how it plays. There's a lot of, little side alleyways to play in and out of. In a different timeline, we'd see a lot of Tracer duels here, but it's very flat. It is very linear, but you still have a lot of free range. And again, for the side of Fisher, not too vertical. I do think that does work in their favor in that regard as well.
And this is a good place to bring out the Ash as well.
Yes.
The long sight lines of this map could be a place where, we see that change, and maybe that little bit of range change is exactly what Fisher needs to try to get back in this thing. I think we kind of, as a community, burnt ourselves out on Esperanza. Esperanza was kind of the favorite of Push forever, and everybody just kind of burnt themselves out on that map, and now Runasapi has kind of taken over as that Push favorite.
I think to Runasapi's credit also, though, aside from being the new face on the block, I do think that Esperanza, did kind of favor a lot more strategically high ground. So even if you are Fisher, I don't think you want to go there anyways. Like, that Peace plays well on high grounds. That Peace can find those angles. You've seen it done to you twice. And I don't think you're really too set on that. So I think for a team like Fisher Navy, like you said, they do really well. They looked their best when they controlled the fight and set it to the slower pace where they were able to kind of, decide the engages. And this is a place, like you said, with longer sight lines, you can set the Ash up, you can kind of control this main road. And I think it does work in their favor. It's going to have to anyways if they want to stay alive.
No subs heading into map number 3. Full shot with this out.
I will say every map just gets more creative and unique the whole way through. I love every single change. Just every new map just always looks better.
It's so pretty. Like, they just do such a good job. Yeah. It's like Colosseo. Have you really, when you pull back and look at Colosseo, it's a gorgeous map. When you're, down in the trenches, it doesn't feel that special. But then you pull back and, take a look at it from above, it is just the prettiest map.
And the details are just phenomenal there. Yeah. Like, even through these stores, you can feel like you are living here. But Atlas holding on to this Tracer, I actually do like. I kind of mentioned you can kind of run Tracer through a lot of these side alleys and contest. And I do think, she did take a bit of a hit. She's been nerfed a little bit. I do think as long as she is buzzing around, though, and really forcing Nenwai to kind of, do their job and make sure they are head on a swivel, I think it can work for them.
Yeah, especially if it's a little bit more of a comfort pick. I want to say I've seen Atlas play Genji and I've seen them play Tracer. But, you've got to be able to mark Peace. Any way you slice it, whether you have the opportunity to get in the backline and harass would be amazing, you've got to be able to mark those flanks and keep Peace off of your own backline. Pantera under a lot of pressure here. Fisher done a good job. Oh, but Abs takes 2 big hits. Peace right on their heels, and Unred is there to back them up. Great peel there out of Unred to find Peace, slightly overextended, but Nenwai returns the favor as well. A 4v3 from Fishers. They're trying to get aggressive onto Pantera. Very little health left. Unred bashing in to see if they can get that kill. Still, Pantera will just not die. Manually ends up finding the kill onto Atlas and Faded.
We've been giving a lot of shout-outs to Peace, but Manually has been, stepping up in a lot of these fights to close them out. So, already with the Deadeye and already looking into it. Yeah, Manually, again, we're too busy watching Peace, but Manually just cleans up in the back end. I do agree with you normally that you really want to try to check Peace and make sure you know where they are. But Peace has just been diving headlong all game into these front lines, just diving past the Orisa and getting onto the targets. So I don't know that you're going to use the Tracer as much to check as much as you will just to make sure you keep everybody looking.
Out of the back. Oh,
Peace again.
That's one way to check Peace. That'll do it. Pantera trying to surge forward there despite being down a player. As fights down in this long streak can get a little awkward. Not a whole lot of cover, and Fisher looking for every piece of it through this Deadeye of Manually. Once that fades out, looks like BSC are just a bit of a soft retreat here.
Yeah, you don't really benefit by continuing to take the fight, especially because now your laser's up.
They're going to combo that with the Terra Surge. It was both orbitals thrown into the mix. As a matter of fact, Faded with the second Terra Surge. Pirate Atlas comboing with it. 2-to-1 trade here, favoring Fisher, but Pantera is able to even the odds. Now looking to chase down the Juno in the back. Faded decides to turn their attention on NY, but NY has that rally ready to go. They're able to stand tall, kind of fend off the Orisa for now. Faded comes back, golded up, trying to circle around the shield, but NY is keeping everybody alive, and BSC come out on top.
Pantera is just a monster. Pantera does not fall there. Just between just the survivability from the backing of Proto and NY, like, if Pantera falls, it's over. Like, you lose Peace, you lose manually. They are your high output damage. But as long as Pantera continues to live, there's just always hope for this Bobcats team, and that is a huge thing to have from your tank line. Peace Blade is up. I mean, again, I don't want to overhype this one because last couple haven't been that fantastic, but surely Peace just has to get past Abs to really find the value here.
He's going down in onto Faded. Meanwhile, there's a big push up in the window, not allowing Fisher to set up in what is probably the strongest defensive spot in the entire map. Those two windows overlooking the checkpoint, but it was a 3-player push. Manually able to pick up a good kill, and BSC continue to roll. Atlas is hiding back behind him with a pulse bomb, though.
And that has to come up huge. Doesn't need to get used on NY, though.
A couple of kills in the neutral, no ults necessary. As Unread went, wait a minute, those shurikens are coming from behind me.
Again, like you said, we need to mark Peace. Usually they're diving headlong into the front line, but in that regard, they're finally using the Genji as the flank we know them for. Fisher is holding on to most of their ults, 4 out of 5 on the board, but you know, with no defensive for the Bobcats, I'm looking at Fisher here. They should, in theory, kind of be able to win this out, especially with their micro play of just combining these ults. I think it's on their side.
Rally pulls, Deadeye thrown in the mix. It looks like everything's going to get one. Nice shot from Abs. There,
huge.
Finish off Pantera.
Okay.
That was quick.
That was quick. It was a little... I'm trying to decide if that was an overinvestment, but I'm also looking, you know, Pulse Bomb, Deadeye, those are all kind of small. Getting one out of those is pretty big. Did we need them all? Maybe, maybe not, but I don't hate it.
Is the one I'm...
Yeah, the rally. The rally is the one I'm staring at, and I'm like, well, we might want to refund it there, especially because we know that Peace is holding a blade, if we're counting correctly. Pantera does have a Terra Surge. Like, there is no defensive. You have Ray, but wow. Wow,
the Tracer is showing up. And that was the
Okay.
mark I was looking for earlier, and it looked like it was on the inside. I mean,
Yeah.
just hanging around Faded, anticipating the dive onto the front line. And NY gets just chased all the way back here towards the other checkpoint.
Oh.
Fisher have claimed a lot of space here. Atlas is going to die upon Peace's return, but guess what? Fisher have close spawns unlocked. They got what they needed out of this.
Yeah, and again, just taking the fight to the Bobcats and, again, punishing Peace for being out of position or for just catching them looking. You know, those kinds of other moments where Fisher continues to win. But it's 5 ults up for the Bobcats. They should just win through sheer force. No extra mechanics needed.
Air Surge into Orbital Rays, a nasty combo, and Fisher just got the business end of it.
Yeah. What do you say about that? We just put 2 of the best ults, the best combo ults here. It's very reminiscent of you know, Graviton Surge plays, which I really do. I personally love to see.
And it reminds me of old Holt plays.
Yeah, like Holt plays and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
It really does feel like we're getting kind of, you know, back to the Orisa, and they held on, and the Bobcats held on to both DPS ults, so they really are in a great position to kind of, again, get the bot going on their side.
Red did a good job of building up some ult charge there in that last fight, so get up towards another rally, try to quickly see if they can get that one back into the fight before Peace decides to unleash this blade. Manually with a Deadeye getting sped up by the ring. I can't believe that Pirate Atlas were able to find cover on that. But here comes the rally out of NY, and they're giving chase up this straight. Atlas trying to go into jump pad, manages to get away, escape from manually giving chase. Manually finds the headshot. BSC had picked up a couple of other picks along the way, so they will take this bot right on back. TS1 is headed back towards the Fisher spawn.
And, you know, with 100 meters already, that's almost as good as a win. It's not the closeout you might like, but it is a good position. Again, manually coming up huge here, and Peace still holding on to this blade. I'm kind of feeling Peace is just using this blade now as like a Sombra EMP, where you know the threat is there.
The threat of blade is scarier than the blade itself. I mean, Unread does get that rally back up, So that was last time Unred Rally. We were worried they wouldn't have it for Blade. By the time Peace finally pulls it out, Unred's got another ultimate built. Fisher are now actually, well, they were up in this fight until Faded got mowed down. So Peace finds their prize. They're on the front line. Abs wins the battle. Ooh, with Pirate poured in a bunch of heals into Abs to keep him alive through all of that. Oh, Pantera turns their attention on the Pirate, though, and the little fly is just chopped out of the sky. It's a nasty fight. Nobody, I mean, there it is. Faded's back. Gets the kill on the Pantera. I think Fisher actually won this.
Yeah.
That was
very scrappy. Yeah. I don't really know what to say to that one because Faded fell early and it kind of should have just been game over, but the rest of the team just managed to hold out and keep the rest of the Bobcats distracted. They'll be rewarded for having a pulse bomb. They have their laser now. If they can move quickly, Proto doesn't have a response, so a timely fight benefits them here.
Aggressive push from ESE. Oh, immediately shut down and punished. The spear, the attack from Unred. Pantera gets the revenge, though. Here comes the orbital. Fisher trying to push forward with it, but a good disengage out of ESC. There's no targets to be found. Atlas trying to mow through a brig with the shield up at their face. Peace is low. Atlas committed to give chase. Rally from NY there to top Peace up. BSC are kind of huddling up around it and just focusing down Faded. Atlas decides to back away.
Did we rally to protect Peace there? Because that was
I think that's exactly what that was.
Yeah, that felt very like timed appropriately.
Ring disengaged from BSC out of this Deadeye. They managed to make it inside. It's an orbital ray counter punch, and here comes Peace with the blade. Not wasting any time on this one, and looks to be doing well. Finds Unred immediately. It was the bane of their existence in the last Dragon Blade. BSC have control with a buck left to go.
Back into the neutral in the last minute. It's at least 2 fights for Fisher Navy if they can get. They have to get control first, and then 2 more. So there's a long haul ahead. Coming into a pulse bomb, Terra Surge, and a rally is huge. They should be able to steal this back, but the question is how are they going to do in the longer fights?
Terra is in way deep to pull the Terra Surge. Oh, pulls that Terra Surge with like 20 health. How they're still alive, I don't know. We'll eventually get taken down. Fisher does have to invest 2 ults to win this fight, but win it they shall.
And they saved rally, which is really huge. That was kind of the one I was hoping they would, you kind of need that for the coming fights. You need to play a bit more defensively. Everybody's going to stay on point before as overtime's going to tick down. And looking across the board, it's kind of just going to come down to the raw mechanics for the Bobcats. So Fisher Navy, as long as they do not overextend their economic ult lead, they should be able to get into the second fight and keep this close.
Fisher are playing everybody inside. So
interesting.
Approach, and you can see Atlas is forward ahead in the 2 windows. Both Erases just staring face to face as Manuel looped around to the outside by Mega. Abs responds. Finds Pantera with a beautiful Deadeye to kick that off. Gets the deflect.
Great
lands
shot.
The headshot.
Wow.
Abs is showing up here in this fight using just a Deadeye to win it out. That's exactly what Fisher needed.
Yeah, no very important ult needed there. They'll have Ray and Rally going into this. How much they get will kind of dictate how much they need to commit into this. It looks like they'll get to probably about, I'm going to call it about 85, 90 before they engage. So they'll need at least 1 more fight to go their way. Not over-investing ultimates is so crucial for Fisher Navy right now.
Atlas get this pulse to stick here by doing it. That's a
Oh
double
my God.
kill. Atlas just might have delivered the map. That is exactly what Fisher needed. They are going to go and invest this rally into the back of the fight. See if they can clean up anything else. Buy as much space as humanly possible, but now they can push up to this archway.
There will be time for one last re-engage here, and it's up to the laser. Proto doesn't have theirs built up quite yet, but NY does have rally. They should be able to win and sustain through a longer fight, but it's not going to be an easy win for our Bobcats here.
Final fight for the map. Ult support advantage going to BSC. Early orbital ray thrown in from Fisher. Pantera onto a Diva trying to push this out. NY has that rally up, and here comes Bobcats forcing this fight back. Faded decides to go take the fight on the point. Has to anchor down onto that bot. Has no health left. Atlas there to try to help anchor. NY is low. They're going to pick up that kill. Peace has the blade out. Goes diving in onto the back line. Unred goes down. Abs finds the kill, but manually takes them down in response. Pantera and manually will hold on here for BSC in the final fight here for Ruda Sapi. The final fight for the series. They're going to take it 3-0.
a heroic effort from the side of Fisher in that last map in particular. Looked incredibly good, things in their favor, but the spawn advantage was not. So, you know, those last second changes for the side of the Bobcats just happened to be just enough to kind of clean it out. But Manually is one of those players, you know, the DPS line from the side of the Bobcats have been coming through, Manually in particular. You know, we've been shouting about peace all day, but Manually has just been quietly cleaning up fights and doing their job particularly well, keeping Atlas and Abs in check. So, I mean, I think if you're the Bobcats, you're thrilled with this. You've made your statement to the Fisher University squads, and I think you've got nothing but pride coming out of this strong 3-0.
Oh, I mean, Fisher put up a good fight. I thought when Atlas landed the 2K poles,
I thought it was over. Yeah,
I thought that was gonna do it. I thought it was, and I mean, they were still down in the ult economy, but that is the kind of play that just will bolster the morale, like get comms hyped up. Like I thought Fisher was sending this on over to map 4 for sure.
I agree. I thought the second that 2K came in, it was we were ready for our next map and we were going on. But you know, again, those smaller decisions. Fisher kind of had a bit of an ult advantage there. They had both defensive up, but sometimes in those key heat of the moment seconds, the micro decision where you accidentally lay over your rally to your laser just kind of doom you in a lot of ways. So the Fisher Navy squad, maybe it's just a little bit of nerves, maybe it's a little bit of pressure, but you know, just great things going their way, but just unfortunately couldn't come up strong to keep themselves alive here.
Yes, he definitely made a statement, not just to Fisher, but I think to the entire collegiate community.
Oh, yeah.
Here. And I mean, they're looking strong. We're seeing that synergy build, you know, and we're talking about how, you know, if they're able to win this one cleanly, you know, how much would we want to see that rematch with the main Fisher squad that went to map 5 in week 1? Like,
Oh yeah. I mean, we've seen several matches from across this Group 1 that have just been phenomenal. Any one of these matches could honestly almost be a grand final here. And I think that says so much about the state of collegiate Overwatch. We just have so many good teams, you know, that can just play consistently well against each other. And all of them still have so much here to prove going into the rest of the season.
well, hats off to BSC. But, you know, speaking of great teams, we got a couple more ones coming at you. We're going to take a little break, but we are not done for the night. We got another match ahead of us. It's going to be Cumberland taking on Georgia Tech when NECC returns with Collegiate Overwatch.
Oh man, this is incredible.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Hey man, grab me a meat stick. I think I can reach it if I just a little more. Just let me go a little. I can't. Just a little more. I almost got it. Careful! Oh God! No, come on, just reach. Reach. Just grab my hand. Grab my hand.
Give me the meat stick. This other hand's closer. The one with the stick is. Oh.
We appreciate your patience there through that break. It's time to get into our second and final match of the night here in Week 4. My name is Jeff, returning alongside Sam, here to be your guides here through our Division 2 matchup we got coming up for you.
Yeah, and this is going to be an interesting one. We've got the Cumberland University Phoenix A group, so their varsity squad, coming up against the Georgia Tech Gold, and we've been heavily debating both of these, lossless teams, Phoenix coming in at 3 and Georgia Tech coming in at 4-0. So both undefeated squads, looking to keep this going. But there's Georgia Tech has kind of had a weird route to this undefeated status that it leaves us questioning a lot of things, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming in 4-0, but 3 of those wins have been due to forfeits, including one against Converse. And so then the one earned win is a 3-2. So they're dropping maps in the one win they do get. And I mean, hey, this doesn't mean we can take anything away from them, right, Sam? I mean, it just means we have limited information to go on despite them being 4-0.
Well, we do have a little bit of information, though, Jeff, because we do know that this is, in a way, a grudge match. We do know that these two teams played in the Overwatch Homecoming, and we do know that last time it was a win for the side of Georgia Tech. It was a closer 1-2 match. So
I think Cumberland actually took that one.
Oh, no, sorry, Cumberland. Yes,
Cumberland
I
took
apologize.
that one.
Correct. I
Yeah.
apologize. Cumberland won that. I apologize. Yeah, so Cumberland came out on top there. So there is a lot of questions regarding Georgia Tech here, and I cannot wait to see the answers for these because this is, Schrodinger's Tech right now in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, until we know they're still a 4-0 team. Let's take a look at those rosters. Let's see who's going to be hitting the battlefield today for this Division II matchup. With Cumberland, now Cumberland coming in 3-0. This is a squad I have heard a lot about, and I'm really anxious to see this team in action and see what they have for us. When the Okra rankings came out not too long ago, Sam, we saw some comments coming out saying, "Hey, this is robbery that Cumberland is not on this list."
And I think their earlier 3 weeks kind of reflect that. There was one forfeit, but their other 2 games here in NECCs were just straight up 3-0s. So maybe we did have some sleepers on the Phoenixes here, but clearly these Phoenixes are rising to this state. On the other side, like we kind of said with Georgia Tech, like they were once upon a time a very good team. We've seen them make, top 16s, top 32s of these big events. So I hesitate to say they're not past their prime because they're not, but we really have to kind of see and get a good look under the microscope of what these players have done in the time.
And then looking at the other side of Georgia Tech, this is, another team I'm anxious to get a look at. And this is a team that actually made top 16. They made it into the final playoffs for the Overwatch Collegiate Championship in spring of 2024. So they've got some momentum coming in here, and they've got a little clout to go along with it. And I think there's just a question of, can Georgia Tech punch into that top 16 again here this year?
And I agree with you. That feels like the question. And getting a revenge match here and proving that against a team like Phoenix, like the Cumberland Phoenixes, is a huge start. We are in Division II, so you're not necessarily coming up, against your Titans, your Marylands, your ISUs. But when you talk about teams that are looking to move up and kind of be in those talking positions, Georgia Tech has nothing but space to prove that they belong up there. So I want to see them do that. I genuinely want to see them punch up here and show that they should be moving up in the ranks.
Well, let's get on. We've seen the players. Now let's get to the map. It's going to be a first of 3 series here, starting off on Lijiang Tower. Wait, who picked this one? Hold on, let me get back at him. I didn't see this.
Let's see.
Well, I'll let you figure that out. In the meantime, it'll be loser pick from there with Hybrid and Escort are kind of the choices. You can choose game types for maps 2, 4, and 5. Again, choose between Hybrid and Escort for 2 and 5, and then a choice between Flashpoint and Clash like we see in OWCS for map 4.
Yep, and just for those come in and maybe you haven't seen it, whatever you pick in game 2, the other one goes to game 4, and you get the one choice for Clash Point over there. So whatever you get, whatever you like, whatever works best for you, gives you the best advantage of that. I think we all know what we're going to see coming out of this, but I think the question is, what are the small adaptations these teams are going to make? Because where some players still prefer the Genji, some are still trying to find different things like the Ashe. They're still trying to make that work. So I'm curious to see how these teams are going to kind of make these variations on the meta comp now.
Well, Killswitch is showing us a pretty interesting variation.
Jeff, I can't talk about that.
I know. It's just like All-Star on the Tour, I didn't buy. The Wrecking Ball, I might actually buy. We'll see.
I actually could buy that.
I'm expecting the Orisa swap, and there it is.
Yeah, Mikey's probably going over to either a Tracer or a Genji here, and that makes sense.
Farah.
Farah, we are here, so that makes sense too. But you have the medium versus the long range on the hit scan as well, so the Ashe has a little bit of an advantage in the aerial fight in that regard.
And Naughty's going to win the aerial duel right out of the gate and just free to focus down the front line of Georgia Tech. And there it is. Lands the direct on the kill switch. And the skies belong to Cumberland. The Phoenixes are flying higher here in Fight 1.
This is exactly what I was talking about when I said the small adaptations, right? Like, you only pull out the Farah occasionally and on particular maps. So, again, as you're scrimming, you'll see this, but you still got to be prepared. Great spear just to get a little bonus there. Still fairly neutral, though, so Cumberland, again, they have the superior positioning here. They have the control of the point, and they should have the control of the skies here. I expect them to kind of win this out again.
He can rock in the fuel skin, burn blue. I like it. Mikey's got to watch out for him on that Ashe. They're going to loop it in through the dojo, but nobody's already found First Blood yet again. Second fight in a row that Naughty's been able to open this up, and he can, excuse me, will find the second kills afterwards. Another good fight for Cumberland.
Yeah, again, just playing into the cover. You know the FAR is raining down, so great positioning from them to kind of stay inside the point and get themselves safe going into the rest of it. The one thing too, Georgia Tech's side, is these have been quick fights. It's still under 50%. They're, you know, regrouping very quickly. Ginger is going to come in and have that first ultimate though to spare.
Once again, I mean, they're not even going to need it. With
they're not even going to,
an early pick from Hickend, and that's it. That's the fight. Boom, done.
I mean, I respect that. Obedience. You know, the discipline to kind of just know to back out. Mikey's going to go to the Genji. We're not dealing with the air fight. It is costly though.
Also going to try to use the data to get onto the point. Oh, but
Wow.
that just get jostled around like they're inside a washing machine. And it looks like Cumberland are, in fact, cleaning house here. Off the side. Oh, dash back in. Deflected the javelin, which I swear is new, right? You didn't used to be able to deflect javelins. Doesn't matter. GG Redfield will come up with the kill on the Mikey, and Cumberland went out the scrappy one.
Not a defensive ult used. It's going to be a last touch here for for Georgia Tech, who've unfortunately just not been able to chain fight, let alone a few kills. I don't even think there's really been many kills. They're just getting rally, and they spent laser last run, so this is going to be a difficult position to get through.
Georgia Tech have to pop their rally just to try to make it across the bridge, and they're already 2 down. Do get a touch here in OT, but the Tracer of Mikey is up against a Brig, a FAR, overwhelming forces. Rigamor's facing similar odds here. In Georgia Tech, yep, they keep it going. They give it everything they got, but at the end, it's a 100-0 there for CU.
Cumberland not gonna let that what happened in Homecoming happen again here from that. That was a very convincing sub-map for them. When we get off the Faras, I'm a little interested to see what changes, but I mean, Georgia Tech just didn't seem like they could even buy a way in. Into Control Center, though, this is a lot smaller, no Faras. This was at one point the home of Junkrats, but I don't think we're going to see that. The Cassidys are coming out, which makes total sense to me. We're just going to burst them down that way, and we might see the May once the
teams come out of spawn. Oh, hey! Spooky Li Zhang is awesome.
Spooky Li Zhang. Yeah. They wanted to play on it. Why not? None of these things shock me. If the Sims stay out, also wouldn't be too surprised. Nodi is going to force the Pharah here. I'm curious to how that pays off. That is a difficult pick to make work here.
We're in the position at the moment. Looks like I would expect him to go coast side, but right now they're just hanging right up Main Street with the FAR. A lot of damage on the All-Star right out of the gate. Oh, and Ginger hits the energy javelin with some range. Acing, whatever that's for. Javelins. Yes, javelins. Yeah. Acing the javelin throw. There is Ginger. Unfortunately, kills go back the other direction. Georgia Tech actually coming up with first control here.
Okay, yeah, a slightly different look. Again, they just got there first. They got there a little bit faster, and Nodi didn't. Again, it's hard to position this Pharah when you're stuck in these corridors like this. You kind of have to play coast side, and it does leave you open. So Nodi is going to have to try to take some unique angles to find the value. What a spear! Wow, Ginger has just been phenomenal with that Orisa.
Still, All-Star and Killswitch come back in with kills the other direction. Nodi's able to trade out one, and that will prevent Georgia Tech from being able to hold door here, though.
Yeah, they'll get themselves a little bit more space, and that is something. Killswitch coming into the pull. We have Laser. Georgia Tech has just damaged themselves in ultimate economy ahead of them, so they have the bigger, stronger tools. They should push them back here.
And the orbital ray already up here from Rigo Morse. Mikey picks up one. Oh, Nodi gets two, and that's going to be enough. A late orbital ray thrown in here from Leon Master just to seal the deal. Rigo Morse is still playing along the outside and eventually does reset.
Yeah. I don't know that we needed the ray, but I guess it's better to secure it in that regard. 52 is the magic number, so still plenty of time for both teams. And it was relatively inexpensive for Cumberland to win that. They did bring Nodi, finally giving up the FAR, going to the May here. They spent Ray, but they have everything else. So there is a pull-shoot combo available, and they have the rally to protect that too. So should be in a pretty good position as long as they play together.
There's the pull out of Ginger Refill. Didn't get the Deadeye with it. He can beat a spear in the back, and he's getting the Terror Surge out of kill switch as well. Mikey down to about half. Would look to get up the rest of this blade, and 5v2 or 4v2. I think at this point, favoring Georgia Tech to get this retake. They need to clean up, and they shall. There's the final blow on to Ginger Refill in the flip.
I will say kill switch on this Ursa has been phenomenal. Just genuinely dominating these front lines and controlling the space impressively, just nailing all of those javelins. Genuinely just a strong backbone to this Georgia Tech squad on this second sub map. Still have Blade, still have a High Noon as well. Nothing to stop it.
Yep, Maywall is broken immediately, and Kendo, gets the business into the Jedi. Hayden RHN follows up with another one. Oh, we pulled the Blade out there, Mikey? Okay. I mean, you were in a 5v2.
Yeah.
You know what? You do secure the kills. You do end up winning that fight, and 87% is going to make things tough here for this final 10%.
It is an exclamation point. You might have wanted it, but never mind. You just took the Tracer, so you're feeling pretty good. They're going to start this fight from behind if you're Cumberland. If they even get there.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else
they don't even make it.
Yeah.
I say, they were doomed from the second pick.
Yeah, with the Tracer down, nobody else could make it. I mean, you're dying at 87% and such, so you got to think it's 1.2 seconds per tick. So, I mean, there was 5% left when there were still people running out of the spawn door there for Cumberland.
It was a bit of a doomed scenario. In that case, you really were counting on the Tracer, and that's unfortunately just kind of how that plays out. You're kind of dependent on your fastest character to get there, and that tends to cost them their life for it. But good to see Georgia Tech turn this around. They had a very, very rough first submap versus that Farah.
Yeah, a 0 to 100 rough.
Yeah, that is a rough round, and I think Nody might go back to it on this, but Mikey's. I don't know if Mikey should take that duel, though. You did not have a great round 1. They're going to go for round 2, though.
And look so good on the Genji, too.
Yeah.
Like, you'd almost like to see Mikey lean into those strengths. But would you find the same value with, Nody having as much space as you have to fly around here on Night Market? Perhaps the Genji just would be too restricted on where they'd be able to go.
Yeah, and I also think then you put a lot more pressure on your hit scans to really kind of be marking as opposed to, what you should be doing. So positioning for these Farahs is going to be so key in these fights.
Woo! Well, there's All-Star getting the better end of Nody. Like, we saw it. Mikey never put their eye in the sky. Mikey was fully focused on just putting all the pressure onto Ginger Refill. And it's bought Georgia Tech first control here, even though they didn't get that kill.
I mean, a lot of that does come down to the positioning. Mikey has coast side advantage, so they have the cover. They have the ability to play and get healed more effectively. So a great positional read from them. They should be able to stay here and get this lodge. Nody is so far behind in that ult fight.
And still trying to push around that left-hand side here from Georgia Tech's Pav. So he has at least made it up to the door. Hey, and there gets booped off. Oh, no. Orbit array on the point in here from Cumberland. And they're going to push all the way to the back of the objective. Fine kill switch just with their backs against the wall. Off the side goes All-Star. There's the flap.
Again, to Georgia's credit, I really respect the discipline of just, this is a lost fight, everybody die, everybody get out. That is not something a lot of teams, even in Tier 2, have. That's not a skill that players have. So I really do appreciate that. It gets them in and out quicker. They have laser now, so they'll have a couple of options. They'll come into most of their ults. So a few seconds of poking, and they should be able to just overpower.
Uh-oh, Javelin spin, looking for the boop!
3!
Oh, and only one makes it back on. The Javelin spin got him close, and nobody hits the conch blast of their career. Whoop! Kill switch is going to go join him down in the lower streets of Lijiang, but, I mean, Nody, let me see that again. Let me see that again.
Blast. Wow.
3 of them end up off the side if you count kill switch at the end of the fight.
I love that they pushed the tempo there. They pushed, they pushed Georgia Tech really. They caught them off guard there. They weren't ready for that blast and that quick rotation. So I think that's how they win here. Or Nody just goes off, I guess. Oh,
I mean, and Nody interrupted Mikey's barrage as well. Mikey tried to barrage at the exact same time, and Nody had the better positioning, was able to sit above them here on this choke. Really well played out of Cumberland.
It's going to be another reset. Georgia Tech just going to get out, as they do. And I think if Cumberland pushes up here a little bit further and keeps this space, they might just steal this one as well. It's coming into 80%, and Georgia Tech spent most of their ultimates. It might even cost them Bob to contest this, and that puts them so far behind ultimate-wise.
Last chance here for Georgia Tech. Going to be perfect from here on out. Bob is out, but All-Star is down. No idea where the Bob even went.
Yeah.
See Cumberland players way back at Georgia Tech's side of the map. Killswitch trying to retreat, was just hovering around that 100 health mark. Yep, there was Mr. Butler hanging out on the objective. Mikey is now down. Killswitch has to re-engage with barely any health left, and just not enough sustain there to win this one out. Looks like Cumberland are going to end up taking map 1. All-Stars back. Rigo Morse is down. There it is, a 1-0 lead here to the Phoenix.
Okay. That was a pretty convincing win from Cumberland. I'm thoroughly impressed, but I think the asterisk on thoroughly impressed comes to this person right here, is Nodi on the Pharah. This can be a tough character to force on some of these future maps. Like, Li Zhang does work in your favor, and against a lot of teams, you could just get forced out. So if Georgia Tech wants to handle Cumberland and kind of flip the script here, they need to keep pushing to places where Nodi cannot stay on this Pharah. Nodi has proven that just simply being able to push and play the game they want to do will be enough for them to win.
And this was, in fact, Cumberland's map pick. So
yes.
They very intentionally took us here to Lijiang Tower, knowing that that is one of their strong suits. And as you mentioned, I mean, Lijiang Tower is not only good for Pharah, it's one of the absolute best maps in the game for Pharah.
Yeah.
Traditionally, even when Pharah's not meta, you'd still see Pharah play here at a high level.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how good she is with all the high ground cover and the aerial cover for her. It's just so good. So Georgia Tech now has they get the advantage, right? They should be able to take us to a place where Pharah is not a dominant player in the map. And where that is going to be is going to be a bit of a question mark to me. You could look to a place like Kings Row, which historically you can force Pharah in moments 1 and 2, but you know, once you get to 3, it does kind of require you to give up that up, as you have a ceiling in your way. Yeah. You could try to force yourself into something like Blizzard World. You know, you don't traditionally see the Pharah there. There's a high grounds that are very close to the skybox if you want to stay in the hybrid. And if you go to Escort, you know, something like a Dorado, you really don't have a lot of places to keep Pharah in the sky. So
I'd love to see the new change Dorado.
Yeah,
we are playing a live patch, friends. So all the changes that we got on Tuesday, including those to the maps, are all in play here.
I didn't say that specifically because of those changes, but they do work in that favor as well.
Yeah.
So I think this, you know, losing actually might be the best thing for Georgia Tech here, because now they get to set the battlefield, and the battlefield is going to be so important for deciding how the teams get built.
Yeah, and so there is a hybrid escort choice here for Georgia Tech, and they'll pick a game type, and then once they've decided which type, then Cumberland will get to ban one map out of the pool here before Georgia Tech gets to decide. So we're still in the process of going through that, and I'm very curious, because it does give a lot of options here to Georgia Tech. I would think that hybrid's probably better than escort, but you'd have to ban, don't go Kings Row, like hybrid, not Kings Row.
Yeah, I would be kind of inclined to say that. Again, you can, it's not typically the home of Pharah, but you can get, for 2/3 of the map, you can play the Pharah. You can get value. We've seen Streets phases Pharah, you know, do a lot. I kind of actually almost want to say Hollywood, if you want to stay in that. You know, a lot of the high ground is close to the skyboxes, and it's very hard to manipulate the Pharah in that capture point segment. She has places to hide, but generally speaking, they're limited.
This is a very smart pick. This is what I didn't even think of. All right, so Georgia Tech chose Escort. We then get WPG banned out from Cumberland on the other side. They're like, okay, you know, that plays too close to the skybox, kind of what you're talking about.
Okay.
So the pick that comes through, this is actually pretty brilliant. Let's bring it up. We're headed to Junkertown for map number 2. I love this pick, Sam.
I actually fully agree with you. This is a fantastic pick. There's so difficult to play the Pharah, particularly in that 3rd section, and the 2nd section, it doesn't favor her. There's a big long U section there. You might be able to get away with it a little in this first opening flat ground section, but at the same time, you can also just let your hit scan, you know, sit back and make sure you can tag the Pharah in the sky.
I mean, while you might think of Junkertown as having, even point A is having a tall skybox, there's no cover. And
there's no place for her to hide.
There's no place for her to hide. So unlike Lijiang or Kings Row, where you have these rooftops to skate around and towers to hide behind, you do not have that luxury on Junkertown whatsoever.
Yeah, it's just purely open skies. So that means Nodi is just for the picking as long as the hit scans hit their shots. Now, what happens when we are in the ground fight is going to be the interesting question, because we only caught a glimpse of the Genji fight, which is the next most meta pick. It's what these players are most likely to be good at and default to.
Yeah.
And when we saw the Genji,
Mikey looked good.
Mikey looked great.
Real clean on that Genji. Okay, the blade was questionable. Not gonna lie, the blade was questionable. But just the neutral play, you could tell Mikey's super comfy on that character.
Yeah, you can tell that going into the Pharah duel felt very much for him like, I guess we're going to have to play Pharah.
Right.
I have to take this duel. I don't want to spend the resources on our hit scan. I have to do this, and I don't want to. So I love this. This is everything that Georgia Tech wanted. This is Halloween for them. This is straight up Halloween for them. They got all the candy they wanted for this.
And I love how the flex DPS duels are they're such specialist things.
Yes.
Like, I mean, it's to play Pharah, you have to practice Pharah. There's no other hero in the roster like Pharah. Same applies to Genji. Same applies to Mei. Those are probably the three most meta picks in the flex DPS role right now. And they're all such unique styles and take such unique practice and expertise in that specific character that you get this kind of matchup where it's like, come play in the air with me, says Nodi. And Mikey's like, I don't know about that. How about we get a little Genji matchup instead? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, does Nodi change? If so, what to? Who knows? Maybe Nodi's second pick is even better than the Pharah.
Yeah, as I say, and you've even left out the other, a few of the other common flex picks which we haven't seen. If you're so good at the Pharah, hey, there's another flyer in there that has pretty similar mechanics to that in Echo, and you can, she's not exactly perfect, but you could still flex that, and you don't have to worry about being in the open skybox nine times out of 10. That is still an option. So, Cumberland's response is going to be very interesting, and it's going to look like, well, I'll say they're in spawn. I actually wouldn't hate if the Tracer came out for Nodi because that makes the most sense. But for the side of Georgia Tech, this is kind of what we wanted. I would see this Tracer duel as net positive for Georgia Tech right now.
Curious to see how they set up here. The defensive positioning has changed so much. This is, we're talking about map changes. This is a map that got significant changes, not as recently, but relatively recently as far as the life cycle of this game goes. And it makes the defensive Widowmaker a little more difficult to play.
Yeah, you really don't have, you lose a lot of those great angles you want from a close hold that we used to get. So now suddenly the attacking Widow has significantly better angles to kind of approach for it. But we will get the Tracer Widow on the side of that. So we'll see what these hit scans can do now when we're spy checking, I guess. Just looking to see if we don't have anything else. Oh.
Yeah, All-Stars already found a beautiful shot. Also, we're getting Nodi on the Tracer here. So in case you're wondering what else Nodi had in the hero pool, ends up in a Tracer duel with Mikey. So we'll keep an eye on that, see who's got control of the flanks. But yeah, I'm anxious to see if he can answer back. That is the second headshot pick here for All-Star so far on this defense.
Yeah, someone told him that the world was going to roll him, and he said, no, thank you. I will do the rolling here. So this is the defender's advantage, though, right? You have to play way further back, and you get the cover. The attackers have more aggressive lines to you, but you do get a little bit more cover. Again, wins the Widow. All-Star has been phenomenal on this Widow. I see. This makes total sense now why they wanted to come here.
Well, they're down their Tracer and their Ana. Okay, I think Rogan Morris is back in this map here, or in this engagement.
Yeah.
But Georgia Tech has had to give up that corner because of it. So that's Cumberland have slowly been able to whittle down at this defense. He can coming up, with a pick of their own. Ginger coming up with one of those as well. Now this defense is kind of cornered back here. Nade in, purple under Ginger refill. Georgia Tech are trying to pursue. All-Star still holding the top. He can with a beautiful shot. Takes All-Star down. Asserting some dominance here in the Widow duel.
I mean, does eventually get chased out by the dive squad coming in, and that's what works for Georgia Tech. All-Star has the ability to sit in the back and kind of just say, go, hit squad, go, when they win the Widow duel, and there's nothing to stopping them. Ginger over on the Orisa is, it just kind of now has to play it way more defensively, can't push into this Winston because the mobility of the Georgia Tech squad is just so efficient and so good just like that.
Able to get in the back, fine. He can... Nodi can
get out.
Do nothing about it. Yeah, barely even with a scratch, Like kill switch was hardly ever touched through that. Now, Ginger Refill's trying to loop around, but kill switch continues the dance. One of the 5 ults available here for Georgia Tech on the battlefield in the Emperor side. In fact, Emperor side for both teams currently out. And fight take place here along coast side. Terrorists are thrown in from Ginger. I think Nodi threw a pole somewhere in the mix as well, but Georgia Tech still 5 strong. Primal is now out. This is just disengage. Here comes Cumberland right at the gun.
They're going to get in, and Killswitch is going to be able to push in the Nano, the very late Nano. This is that Winston comp we were keeping an eye on. They'll get the Juno in the sky, and that is a huge huge turnabout. But Cumberland's still, again, winning. As long as Cumberland can get onto someone from this Georgia Tech squad, they just win.
Beacon's gotten 2 great picks throughout this fight. Orbital Ray and Rally invested from Cumberland as well. And that should just be the cap, as that's Beacon's 3rd kill in this engagement.
These Widows have been so impactful to that.
Oh, got the headshot too!
Got the headshot, yeah. These Widows are so impactful. Unfortunately, that one not going to be as huge, but...
He could hit the head. It just didn't... it was just wasn't enough to kill. I don't know if it wasn't charged enough or what, but you saw the red X marker pop up.
Yeah, it just might have been a little under, but still enough. Going over to the D.Va now, it's the second point just needs control of the high ground, especially against the Winston. That's just the better matchup to kind of keep the Winston in check. So I like this read from Cumberland. You need to make slow, steady progress and play your counters correctly. This is a good read.
Especially being able to kind of loop through this intersection, as we're seeing Ginger Refill do. Gotta be careful. Flies up, gets out. He can loop it around low. Ooh, you're gonna sneak all the way up into the back. Okay, you're gonna hang out here. Using that Venom Mine to try to fend off the Tracer, but guess what? Mikey knows you're there. Recalls back out. Oh, it gets the intercept. Beautiful move. And to prevent the retreat. Now just going to anchor onto the cart, take Ginger Refill out of mech. Turns around, gets the beautiful combo on a Naughty as well. Mikey having a great time here in this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, when Mikey's not being put onto Farah to have to take a duel that they know they're pretty sure they can't win. Looks phenomenal, and this Tracer is definitely coming out and getting the best of Nodi here. So, love this. This was a great read from Georgia Tech, and they are benefiting from their previous loss for it. It is going to be Ultimates coming on board, but, I mean, I don't think these teams are just too good in the neutral right now. Ooh.
The trade out, and the recall, perfectly timed with the self-destruct. Yep, ready to go. Good pulse onto the pilot. Now, can you overcome this deficit? Georgia Tech are still down in this fight. Trying to buy time for Killswitch to get back. Killswitch pops the Primal Rage just to get back in quicker time. And it looks like it might hold. This is getting a little scrappy here, Sam. Both teams are rushing to get back.
Yeah, I mean, you do have a lot of time. It kind of benefits you more to hold at the end in some ways, but with another pick onto All-Star, I think Georgia Tech is just kind of this hold is almost running out of steam, Jeff.
Oh, but good sleep will even the odds. Killswitch out front. Nano able to pick up Bar of Soap. With that, they're going to chase down Zap the Fly. And here's the hole from Georgia Tech. There's still somebody hiding on cart. Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
Ringo Morse got it under control.
Yeah. Last fight into the last minute here, and I mean, this is a different look. This was that Winston the Winston on a Brig, old habits die hard, and Winston on a Brig comp that you kind of see on Fringe here, and Georgia Tech showing that they understand these Fringe comps. They'll have sights and they'll have Rally to play a bit defensively, but Leon Master does have Orbital Laser, so timing that into the right group is going to be the key to Cumberland keeping this push alive. This Juno ult has to be huge.
An aggressive and unusual push through the center to get cart control and kind of flip this map.
Ooh.
Starting to sneak in towards the back, using an Orbital Ray to cover this push. Killswitch picks up one. Here comes the rally out of Georgia Tech. You're going to use to contest. Bubble thrown in. Nade. He's got Ginger Refill purple. And even though Killswitch was low, the tides have turned. Both land a pulse bomb, both onto a support. Killswitch is looking very healthy. A Ginger Refill without a mech. I think this defense is stalwart, not going anywhere. You do have a kiddo back on the outside, and there's a Tracer trying to hold Ginger 60% towards a mech. Ooh, don't give that up. Hayden's able to find the kill on to Nodi. And in fact, they were 60 centimeters there from a C9 there, Sam. That was...
They knew the whole time, Jeff. They knew. From moment one of Pick Junkertown, everything has been clearly calculated by Georgia Tech. It just feels that way. I mean, say what you will. There were some tough moments for Georgia Tech, but overall, this is Georgia Tech's game right now. This is everything they want to be doing, from All-Star opening up to 3 easy shots to Killswitch getting so much value on this Winston, going uncontested and getting out without a problem. Georgia Tech have just found what works for them, and you can't force it all the time, but for right now, it might be good enough for a win here on Junkertown, and that's all that matters.
All they got to do is push towards the end of point B. They don't even have to cap it.
Yeah.
That kill ends up being crucial. That Mikey pick onto Ginger Refill during that self-destruct, that ends up being a crucial pick in which Cumberland's or Georgia Tech, excuse me, able to hold on despite kind of losing people early in that fight. So good plays out of Mikey, and we saw Nody kind of take over the flex DPS role, but I think Mikey got the better end of the Tracer tool.
I agree with you completely. Mikey has looked kind of a little bit more dominant, constant. I'd say pretty consistently winning the duel and kind of leading the 4v5, 5v4 win and advantage that regards. But I do think a lot of that is also on the back of like Kill Switch coming in helping out too. It's a dive. It has to be, it takes more than just one to really complete it. Georgia Tech is going to open up with the double sniper, as is the pretty usual tradition for now. And we'll see what happens from there. But Cumberland, they are going to keep the Diva, which I think I like it for the most part, but I do think you have to be a little bit more defensive if you're Cumberland. So playing to protect Heekend is going to be, I think, a lot more important and to protect versus the dives.
Let's see where Heekend wants to set up. Initial dive on that top right-hand side is right onto Ginger Refill. Tracers are battling out hard. Left takes. Ooh, Mikey's found a way in, getting underneath the skin of this Cumberland defense a little bit, making he can sweat there for a moment.
Yeah, very dangerous, and you could see the peel from Ginger and Nody even coming in to make sure that that did not happen. Still in the neutral, but Heekend just keeps playing with fire, putting themselves into position to and get. But eventually, it does pay off with that pick on the kill switch. That is a huge. Pick.
Kind of riding the top of the wave, skirting the damage versus damage output, or damage taken versus damage output, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about this frontal positioning here, how important it is to have the cover. Oh, a great headshot from Heekend just to cover that out. This is why this front is so important. You have so many angles through those choke points, and now with the Brig just bodyguarding this Widowmaker, I mean, that's everything you want.
Oh, wow. My! That was an outstanding shot. And that's the one that could just puncture the motivation of Georgia Tech here.
Yeah. Considering Heekend is just undiveable with his Brig there. Yeah, that is... Oh!
I mean, what a usual strategy. Not keeping the Widowmaker like super far on the back of the map, but just bunched up here in this little death ball. And it's so difficult. You try to dive on top of Heekend, and you've got the whip shot of bar of soap, which is exactly what we're seeing. It doesn't land. The whip shot misses, and Kill Switch is able to get in. But here comes Ginger Refill, able to back him up, able to... Oh, they fend off the Winston, but All-Star lands the shot.
Yeah. And that's how you break that. You have to put the pressure onto the Widowmaker to make an error that you can capitalize on. Well done there. Ginger does have that. Pulse catches, though, so it's still in Georgia Tech's hands. They should be closing this out.
Yeah, that's a couple of good picks going in their favor. Kill Switch holding high ground here to prevent a recontest. You do have Ginger Refill down low. Yeah, they're thinking about coming out. The whip shot kept them off, but they're still able to get the touch. Self-destruct will not get them back in mech. And an orbital ray is invested as well. It does stall long enough for reinforcements to show up, but Nody the only one coming up with the pick. It seems like Georgia Tech, their focus fire game on point, as Cumberland tried to test them. Never mind that. Point on the board there for Georgia Tech. Almost 4 minutes in the clock.
An ambitious recontest. I don't know that we would have committed laser, but admittingly, we aren't playing the Orisa, the pull laser kind of meta right now on this. So I think it's kind of fair to just throw it in wherever you need it. All-Star has sights, which means the approach for Cumberland is going to be so much more difficult, and they should be able to find their dive target immediately. The setup for Georgia Tech looks good here.
Kill Switch seems to be the focus of Cumberland, as we saw them kind of poking in from above. Georgia Tech's spider senses are tingling. Got Nody on the outside, 98% to a pulse. Oh, hits the headshot, gets the melee! Nody's absolutely checked in the back line. Ginger Refill tried to come provide some backup. Nothing happening. Mikey is there. The DPS from Georgia Tech are on a roll right now.
This is... I mean this in the nicest sense of words.
No shot.
This is a comp difference right now. This is Georgia Tech know how to play this comp and feel very comfortable here. And they understand that, look, Mikey had a rough game one. All-Star, you're up here. You have to carry this. We're going to send in the ball just to try to get any amount of touch, but I don't even think it matters, Jeff. 230.
Not with Mikey getting that kill. If
done
Nody
here.
had stayed alive and made him come back to help with the fight on the Winston, but no, Mikey wins out that duel, and we are absolutely done here. We are all knotted up after map 2.
Wow. You know, we had some question marks coming into Georgia Tech here, and that's a very definitive win in that regard. This look from them, this traditional kind of dive look, was just phenomenal. In a world where we're playing, you know, Orisa poke, this dive has just worked in their favor. I think the only kind of concerning thing for this Georgia Tech squad is you can't do this everywhere. That's the thing that kind of is unfortunate about it. You can't necessarily run this dive all the time. You're not going to have the ability to give All-Star these sightlines to just click the heads like that. So the rest of this match, Jeff, is going to be an incredible watch.
Well, we saw Nody take it over map 1. Mikey having a field day here in map 2. The hits again seem to go pretty even. The snipers were fun to watch, but it's going to be Cumberland's pick. They get to decide the battlefield for map number 3. When we come back, it's push. We'll see you there in just a few.
What am I supposed to say?
It doesn't matter. He's dead. He ain't listening to you anyway.
I'm hungry.
No, not in front of you. Put it away. I can't watch it. Oh, crap. Just reach in. You gotta pull it. Just grab it. Just take it out of his hand. What do you mean you can't?
He won't let go.
What do you mean he won't let go? He's dead.
Help me. Get in there. No, just hold on.
Make him let go of it. No, I got you covered. Just go in for a hug. Go and get on in there. It's a bad loss. Yeah, hug him up. Just reach. Hug him up.
He's breathing. On the other side.
Go.
I can't.
Just-
I can't do it.
Help me, Lord. Help me get over this loss.
I can't breathe.
Yeah, I can't breathe. I'm so upset. I can't breathe. Stop. You knock on wood so they go to heaven. It's like a lucky.
Hey, get the stick. Yeah.
Hey, do you the meat stick?
Yeah, I got it.
Hey, just hold tight for a second. They're moving the casket. Just hold tight.
Yeah, that's no worries. I got it.
Well, Georgia Tech's able to do something nobody else has done yet this season. That is take a map off of Cumberland University, as they're able, on a very smart pick at Junkertown, able to tie up this series, heading into map number 3.
Yeah, and it is going to be push for map number 3. It is going to be Cumberland's pick. And, well, I mean, I'd like to say that's an advantage here, but I feel like most teams are going to go to particular maps anyways. We had Georgia Tech ban Coliseum. I mean, I don't know that that was necessarily on the map anyways. I guess you could play the far there. But it looks like we will be going to Runasapi, which I think is still pretty good for Georgia Tech, actually. This is, again, a great tracer map. This still forces the tracer duel in a lot of ways. You could try to get the Fara here. You do have a lot of safe space in the sky that these buildings provide, but I don't know that that's going to really give you much value if a tracer is just running around in your backline.
I don't know that you can force a tracer duel, but the tracer is definitely viable.
Yeah.
We'll see if nobody wants to try to match that or what happens here. I mean, we could see the Genji come back out from Mikey, and that could cause some real problems if Cumberland don't have an answer for that one. So, I mean, again, yeah, be in their map pick. I mean, this is kind of going back into the ground and pound, kind of the fast-paced Orisa meta that we've been seeing. Yeah, I mean, this will be a telling moment. Like this is an important map. If we see Georgia Tech take this one, it's momentum in their favor. That's more wind in their sails heading into hybrid escort, where I think their Winston is a lot more viable. I mean, same is true on the other side.
I think like you said, I think this is going to be the most telling map, but I do think that if you are Cumberland, like you said, this is a chance to kind of return to form in a lot of ways. You can keep your Orisa comp going, as is tradition for the current meta. So I have to assume Georgia Tech, knowing that that's what they want to do or have something up their sleeve. You don't just take a map off like Cumberland and that's going to be it. We do have a tank swap, though, on the side of Georgia Tech. So I guess we're just going to, maybe we're bringing in more of an Orisa specialist is my thought on this.
Yeah, either that or maybe a Junker Queen.
Yeah, it could be a Queen.
So we're having Jin sub in for Kill Switch.
Yeah.
Is the substitution we're seeing here, as you mentioned, the tank for Georgia Tech. I think this puts Cumberland, like, the more I'm thinking about this, Sam, I think Cumberland really have to win this map.
Yeah.
Because when they go into the pick on escort, you've got a lot more Winston viable stuff. And if Georgia Tech we'll go into hybrid. We'll be going to hybrid for map 4.
Yes.
I mean, you got to imagine Kings Row's going to get banned out, so you're getting up with a lot more Winston viable maps. If Georgia Tech get that pick, then they're definitely going to take you somewhere where they have the advantage. Interesting picks all around here to talk about.
I don't know that I'm sold on the ball coming out yet, but I do think it's still not impossible. Ginger showing the Queen is one of those small. It's one of those small adaptions you can make. Yeah, Gensect is going to go to the Orisa. I thought so. But the Queen from Ginger is an interesting adaptation. It gives you a little bit more flexibility in your engages and disengages. You're not just dependent on the Juno ring to get you in and out. Ginger now has the ability to kind of set those paces as well. So a little bit more of a safety net for Cumberland. And I do think that in a case like this, you might want it.
We don't usually see the Brig paired with this composition. He gets under a lot of pressure early. And Cumberland want to go fast. They have to set the tempo here and keep Georgia Tech guessing. But it's Georgia Tech who kind of play a little do-si-do. Flip it around. It is a 4v4 as Georgia Tech anchor themselves onto the cart. Ginger's going to move it on in. There's the shout. There's the pick on to All-Star. And Junker Queen coming up with 2 here in this first fight.
That's like I said, right? You have shout available. If you used a ring or if for some reason Leanne isn't available to really get you there, like, you can just go in and confirm the kill yourself. It's a great aggressive read from Cumberland where they know they can win in this style of comp. They've done it on map 1 and they just want to try to do it again. Nodi did go to the Tracer where Mikey went to the Genji. I mean, this is going to be an interesting, duel of the flankers here in a lot of regards. So keep an eye on Mikey also now to be a lot more aggressive in his flanks.
I mean, you got 2 flankers to worry about on the other side.
Yeah.
Mikey's playing right up the gut at the moment, as is he can show us some flexibility as well. Speaking of, been playing hit scan all day, now pulling out this Genji. Oh, and immediately gets muscled down. Mikey showed us some proficiency in that Genji earlier. We get to see it again. And it's 2 quick picks heading Georgia Tech's direction here in map number 2, or fight number 2, that is. And it looks like they're going to take this spot right on back.
Yeah. Again, just kind of able to dissect and isolate there. So a good, just good, slow, methodical play from Georgia Tech. Cumberland did hold on to the majority of their ults. They didn't commit anything there, so they'll have 4, including both of their defensives. Georgia Tech is a little behind, but they're still basically all on the way there too. All-Star spent high noon to kind of get that pick and try to keep it going. Later ults will always win here, so the longer that Cumberland can hold out, they should be able to win. So discipline is going to be the name of the game for the Cumberland Phoenix. Slow picks that get them a win. I say that.
Pulse bomb in. We're going to get Orbital and Rampage, but doesn't get much of anything. They will eventually work through Rigor Mortis, but Mikey is able to find one the other direction. 2-for-1 trade here favoring Georgia Tech. They protect, they grab the lead. Now Rally invested in it as Heakin's able to pick up 1. Cumberland thinks this is winnable despite being down players. Jin's forced to invest the Terror Surge as well. And it looks like Georgia Tech are going to go ahead and swing this. The rest of Cumberland just kind of body blocked. Dono walled up in the windows. Ginger does jump down. And a quick re-engage. The pressure continues. Cumberland just keeps throwing bodies at this thing.
I mean, this is where Georgia Tech would have been done with this fight a minute ago, Jeff. Cumberland just, again, a little bit lacking discipline, just trying to think this is salvageable. But meanwhile, they've thrown 3 ults at that fight to get nothing. It's going to be the Blade from Heekan, though, to try to change the story.
And that one will get the job done. Yeah, very shades of Chinese Overwatch.
Yeah.
Where you just keep sending 2, like, even if there's only 2 people there, you go ahead and send another one in, go ahead and send ultimates in. Like, try to keep Georgia Tech uncomfortable, even though it looks like they should have won that fight handily.
Yeah, it forces them to kind of play in a scrappy mindset, a little bit more on the instincts. And Cumberland believe that their instincts are a little bit better. They're going to send the ring out now, and it's in the neutral here. Nodi's got the only pulse bomb.
He can show us a prowess on the Genji with a great opening pick. Has Hayden Archin in the grave. And Cumberland are going to take this thing right back.
Very clean, very just in the neutral, easy, no ults go their way. Again, just now they've set Georgia Tech off their game, so they are in an advantage here for Cumberland. They'll have Rampage, they'll have Rampage, they'll have Orbital Laser, in addition to Nodi's Pulse Bomb. I expect Nodi's going to try to open this up with the Pulse Bomb, but, if this Rampage lands, it is going to be the devastating fight winner.
The back end gets split. Georgia Tech tried to engage through the window, and the supports just don't make it out. Now, All-Star's able to clear the way. Holy cow, fights both DPS, in a matter of seconds. Ow. Then gets the Deadeye in on the Leon Master as well. All-Star's looking to single-handedly swing this fight around. Ginger Refill is low, still holding the line, eventually looking to dip out, and Jin is giving chase.
Queen will get out. She's too tanky. 5 minutes brings us to a little under the halfway mark here, and it's still fairly close. And that was a fairly cheap fight for Georgia Tech. Oh, great stop. Great stop.
What a spear. You still get Jin purple, but now they've got a Terror Surge. They're all top back up. A Fortify to follow this up with. Blade in from Mikey, here to follow up on that Terror Surge as well. Georgia Tech investing heavily in this fight, as a matter of fact. It's still not done. Barosop has a rally here, but is looking so low as that fades. Recalls used. Cumberland running out of resources.
It was a hefty investment, but they need to extend the lead here. It's coming down to the last 4 minutes, and while that's still plenty of time, the more distance you can put, the harder it becomes, and the more fight wins Cumberland needs to chain to win this. Heekan has the Blade. Hayden has the rally, so there is a stop for this Blade. They need to bait it out, or he can just beef it, I guess.
It just gets absolutely mowed over. Hayden pulls the trigger first. Georgia Tech, go fast against the fast team.
Yeah, Cumberland's trying to speed. Yeah, wow. Mikey, again, this is where they wanted to be, right? You're letting Mikey on the Genji, where he's shown such incredible prowess on this. Cumberland maybe just, they took the safe pick that everybody's playing, but might have been a bit of a loss on their side. Going to go to the Zarya. We're dealing with too much damage. Let's just try to benefit from it.
Oh, Nodi's pulling out the new Sombra as well. Heekin's pulling out the Blade. Gets the dash through. Trying to chase down. Barsoap will end up winning it out on the front line. He can kind of force everyone from Georgia Tech into the blender.
100 meters, Jeff, is still a ways to go. It means it's another fight at about the midpoint, and then another one to maybe get back to 50. So.
They haven't got the checkpoint yet.
Yeah, it's a long ways to go. It's several fights to win. I'm curious if Nodi stays on the Sombra. Sombra, the new changes have been a bit questionable, but now that Georgia Tech is back on the Winston, they want to play their game.
I think the new Sombra is getting undue hate, but that's a story for another time. Hinken with a great first blood. Oh, wow. No way All-Star does this again. All-Star takes Nodi down out of it. Hinken comes in, will take him down. It's a 2v2 left on this bot. Nice volley of shots. We'll put Ringo more slow. Ginger able to finish them off, but it's Hinken who did the bulk of the work on that one. What a fight.
Wow.
Yeah, it's still not done. Okay,
Wow.
there you go.
They look it out. I mean, that was a great three-piece from All-Star, just unfortunately not enough, but Georgia Tech is back in their comfort comp, so I mean, I'm a little bit concerning for Cumberland here. They are on the Zarya, they are taking damage, but this is where Georgia Tech shines.
What a boom.
Say that. Yeah,
Jin never got a chance. They got booped on the downfall and just took all the damage on the way in and then all the way back up again. A late orbital ray? Whoa.
Okay.
Rigo invested that. I felt like that fight was already lost.
Yeah, that was long lost. I don't know about that. And I say I like this comp because it's comfortable for Georgia, but that's the second fight loss for them on this comp, so I don't know if this Winston's going to be able to work. The dive not as effective here on Runasapi. Now coming up against 3 ults, it's going to be even harder.
The quick play into the back, and they're able to find Leon, but they lose their All-Star on the way. Rally up, and Bar Soap is giving chase to the fragile heroes that are running down the straight, and they are indeed able to find that with some help from their DPS. And this is looking like a 3rd fight win in a row here for Cumberland.
Wow. Yeah, and they should be able to get close to that 100 mark and the lead. They need one more, but I mean, EMP, Grav, Blade, there's a dozen combos on board here for Cumberland. They just need to catch the right target, and that's any support or Gensect on the Winston here, and it basically means they can get a lead. Cumberland has this in their bag. It's theirs to lose.
Don't forget, New Summer has that critical damage. That includes EMP. Noni goes down immediately, though.
Wow.
All-Star with a great pick, but the EMP still does a lot of damage. The Grav hit on the back of it, and Cumberland do use their overwhelming ultimates, is overwhelming force. They're going to steal this lead away with less than a minute to go.
Means one more fight, and Heekend has a blade to hold for it. Gensec does have onto the Primal, so a longer fight. They should be able to push some off, but it's an uphill battle for Georgia Tech. They need to just win this first one. I'm watching for Heekend. He's more likely to steal this and seal the fate here with his blade.
You see the bubbles thrown onto the Genji to make sure he can stay alive through the early aspects of this fight. Falling back onto the stairs, throwing volleys into the face of Jin. Keep that Winston away. Jin's going in the back. Jin wants your Juno dead immediately. He's going to force them back. Try not to let Leon get up towards that ultimate. Still hasn't popped any kind of ultimates here from either side, as a matter of fact. And an opening pick has gone into Georgia Tech's favor. Here comes Heekyn trying to bring it back. Eats a purple, and Ginger follows up on it for a pair of kills. This fight gets brutal out in the middle by the checkpoint. And with 5 seconds to go...
No one's on the bot. No one's on the bot.
Okay, there's the touch. There's the primal. Okay. Nodi's got 2.
2? Nodi's still alive, and I mean, Georgia Tech has a long way to go. They don't have a full squad here, Jeff. This is dangerous territory.
Oh, Hayden's got to get back with the rally. Hayden is using it. They're not going to make it to the bot in time. Cumberland will take the lead in the series.
Okay. I mean, that was pretty solid. That was a very good look from Cumberland. They looked like they pulled and got their what the comp they wanted, and then managed to make the adaptions they needed to. It's not often you see the Zarya come out, you know, a couple of those key counter picks, the Zarya, the Sombra, but you know, that's just great game sense. That tells me that Cumberland not only is just a mechanically good team, but they also understand when do they need to use the other tools of the other heroes in the game to give themselves an advantage. They might have started out on the Queen, but it was our Russian Queen that really led the way to the victory there.
Yeah, the swap over to the Zarya, definitely. I mean, at least Joker Queen we see kind of peppered into the meta.
Yeah.
Either on push or flashpoint maps. That one is not too far out of left field. The Zarya? Yeah. God, I haven't seen a Zarya in ages.
I mean, it makes total sense. You're coming up against a Winston. You need to be able to protect your team with those bubbles. Grab is also fantastic. Spear. That was such a good spear. But yeah, it's Cumberland just said, all right, Georgia, you want to play your game. We're going to beat you at the game you want to play. And they did it. They made the choices. Say what you will about not winning on mechanics and winning on game sense and hero swaps, but it wins you the game. There is a W in that column, Jeff, and that's all that matters in the end.
Oh, man, that's an important part of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree completely. I know there are some people that think the counter swapping is, I don't know, say what you will. Some people aren't, that may not be good, clean Overwatch to some people. But I think that being aware of that and knowing when you need to pick your counters, when do you need to adjust your comp to play something like an anti-dive is such a fundamental part of the game that in T2, in T1, you have to know those things. And this is showing exactly why Cumberland is an undefeated juggernaut that they are.
Yeah, you got to be able to think outside the box and know when to pull out those unusual tools. And you'll run into teams that'll test you, and Cumberland definitely understand the fundamentals of how to do that. Not just playing meta slaves, but understanding why certain heroes are picked for this meta, what reason they bring, what strengths they bring. It's an incredible understanding. And what a comeback. Those 3 fight wins in a row,
that was huge.
Like that's
huge.
Wow, what a comeback.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the percentage of that happening, but I can tell you it's relatively low. So winning the 3 back-to-back is just impressive. It is going to be Flashpoint for our 4th mode. We've got that in, so that means Georgia Tech picked the mode. There will be I believe it is, Cumberland will pick the map here from that.
No, they still get...
Oh, no, it's still ban pick. Okay, yes.
Well, there's not a ban for Flashpoint.
Oh, no, there's not ban. That's right.
There's not really a ban here. So,
so
I think the winning team picks the type.
Picks the map. Yeah, so
and then the
Cumberland
losing
will
team picks the map between those types.
I believe that. It's a little confusing, but it is a unique format, and it is one that we're all adjusting and taking to. It's something that does give your losing team a little bit more spice in their game, so I think that is a good thing. It is going to be, I believe, New Junk City, which, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really like a great dive map amongst these, so I guess that's probably the best you can do. It does maybe force Cumberland into thinking we run the Junker Queen again, and you can exploit that if you are Georgia Tech. So I don't hate this. It is kind of one of the preferred maps for. Well, I say that it's now becoming a preferred map. It wasn't for the longest time, but now it's slowly finding some love in the Flashpoint world.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit. There's still some wonky points.
Yeah.
Just a note here, we are not seeing a swap, so Jin is staying in that tank role here for Georgia Tech. Killswitch is staying on the bench.
I mean, Killswitch was coming in for Georgia Tech. Yeah, Gensect is going to stay in. I mean, I guess Killswitch looked phenomenal in the Winston, so I wonder if there's maybe just a concern of like we need a slightly better, a more Orisa dominant player. Sometimes that happens where you just, someone's playing well on the Winston, but you are on one hero, but we really need this hero a little bit more. These are the small coaching decisions that have to come in, and you have to figure out on these downtimes, because these are what happens when you get into, your homecoming events, when you're getting to your finals and your nationals, to figure out in those moments. You make those decisions, you practice those decisions now, just like you practice every other set play and every other map you go through.
And we've seen this even at the highest level, where we see, I'm thinking SSG, where you have KSA come in, and even though they're playing the Orisa just as Hottie would be playing the Orisa, KSA has the ability to swap, has the strength of that diva in the pocket in case they need it. So it could be something very similar here with Georgia Tech.
Yeah, it could be any number of things. It could also just be, look, it's been a long night. Our tank player has a lot of, had all their classes today. Maybe we need to.
They have class early in the morning. I mean, it could be that simple.
It could be anything, any number of things for this. But it looks like it will be about what we expect. And this is, Cumberland wants to play the Junker Queen, so I'm not surprised we end up here. Leon is sticking to the Lucia, though, is a little bit.
This is actually kind of, I've seen this multiple times. And either with the Kiri or the Juno, so you can get the classic dive comp with Lucio Kiri, where they're both very maneuverable and survivable. This is all out turbo rush, Mach 7 comp. Speed.
Yeah, this is almost zombie comp levels of like just rush, and it's working so well for Cumberland.
But it's, instead of sustain, it's pure speed.
Yeah.
And
they're running them down. It's a hit squad, Jeff. They are just running them down.
You have so much. Okay, so we've seen a lot of Juno speed ring engage and a team will Juno speed ring disengage and then counter back. But then you can hit amp speed from Leon or a shout, and you can double down on that. And that's exactly what we just saw.
Yeah. And Cumberland learned from maps 1 and 2 that they win when they push the tempo and get in the face of Georgia Tech. They understand that they can do that. It is going to be. And it's still pretty neutral here. They are leading in the ult charge, so they're just going to run it down again.
Oh, but Jin does find the pick. With the javelin spin of all things.
Wow.
Death of many cuts. They're on the Ginger refill. Woo. Jin popping off here on the Arisen. He's able to pick up too. He can look at a clap back, going in to try to chase down Rigo Morris, but Hayden is there for the backup.
It is also a comp that you can kind of only maybe get away with once unless you position properly. Like you said, you have a lot of speed options, but to really kind of engage and then catch them on the disengage is tough when you have this poke comp that is just blaring you down on your approach.
Running into a Deadeye is no treat either. That deflect will run out after 2 seconds, and he can just gets absolutely murdered. All-Star comes up with a pair of kills on the... I love All-Star's cast. This has been one of the highlights of this series for me, and I think if Georgia Tech are going to force a map 5, All-Star has to continue to pop off like this.
Agree completely. All-Star has been phenomenal over on this hit scan roll, just performing so well, and with the benefit of, you know, the tanks and Mikey, who have just made sure they go uncontested. Making sure they can hit those shots is so good. Gensect has their only ult. Cumberland does have a blade and a sound barrier. That's a lot more defensive in addition to that laser that's coming online. There is so much sustain for Cumberland. They have to just push to get there in time, and they should win out a longer fight. I don't think they make it, though.
Blade is out. 97%. Ginger's running to try to get to the point. Somebody is there, and he is able to stay off and make use of this blade, finding 2-3 kills throughout it. Nicely done. Cumberland will flip it.
Only cost him sound barrier that's a huge,
and blade.
That's a pretty low price. Yeah. Oh, cost blade. Yeah, blade too. That's still pretty low price. You save your orbital laser, pulse bombs there. You'll be coming into Rampage mid fight, and there's only going to be one fight left. Mikey goes down late, has the only blade. You have an answer for it. Cumberland. Wow.
Do they make it on? Yeah. Oh, the boop! The shield bash just barely makes it in there for Hayden. But Parakill's already in the feed, and now Jin finds themselves totally surrounded on the point. Hayden comes out to help the best they can, but Cumberland do hold on. No grab first point on this one.
Again, the speed of this team and just the ability to close gaps and then punish as a squad is so huge. It's just one of those fundamental things.
Dude, Mach 7. This is the Mach 7 comp.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just Mach. It's just
Mach
we
5,
see a target,
right?
we run them down.
5 people will call it Mach 5.
Mach 5, yeah. You see the targets, you run it down, and Hikendo will just find that deflect. That's huge, though. It's not going to slow down Cumberland at all. They have their target. They just need to find the next kill target.
And taking one of the most lethal weapons out of Georgia Tech's pocket. But the other one is Mikey here with this blade. They are going to just kind of slow their roll, though. Wait for All-Star to return.
They have no reason to push for Georgia Tech. They are down. Cumberland, in the meantime, they have Rampage. Just needs to catch 1 or 2 to find value.
Speed ring here from Georgia Tech. Ooh, wow. Then now the Rampage comes out. They kind of faded the first time. Catches All-Star into the corner. Woo! Mikey is able to push him to punish, though. That's a pair there for Mikey, and Jin is going to find one as well. So despite the tenacity here, despite the, the inclination of Cumberland to pull the trigger first, the speed doesn't work out for him.
Yeah. Georgia Tech's stalling out that as they stalling that out. Cumberland got to 40%, so a great little bit, great spear again from there. All-Star is holding on to High Noon. There is going to be something there, but it's going to require, getting into speed ring to get that value.
So Orbital Ray combined here with the Terror Surge. Blade is out from Hikendo, and 2 picks have already gone in Cumberland's favor. Still looking to clap back. Jin gets 1, Hayden gets 1. The point flips from underneath Georgia Tech, but they're still not done fighting this thing out. Trying to find this Lucio. Leon's able to dance around the pillar and get away. He can still there. Oh, the spear lands into the back of the Lucio, and you've got Nodi down to 1 health. Clearly no recall available. I think they would have used it as they're just letting the passive heals come through. And Jen seems to just be an immovable force left here on this objective. Finds both DPS, and Georgia Tech flip it right back.
I don't know what's in the food over at Georgia Tech, but it is making these tank players just monsters right now. Between Killswitch and Gensect, who were absolute beasts on these Orisas. Just very good. It's coming up to 70%. Probably going to be one fight. Cumberland has both support ultimates. The longer fight benefits them, but they have to get to point first.
Nutty stuck All-Star mid Deadeye. Orbital Ray out here from Cumberland, and we got 3, 4. Lightning fast fight 4.
Did we need both of the support ultimates, though? I don't know.
I didn't even see the sound barrier, to be honest.
the sound barrier went pretty quickly after Nodi got the first pick, but we had also invested laser, and I don't know, like maybe we needed it. I didn't really see it, but it does mean that Cumberland is now going to be playing in the neutral. Georgia Tech is closer to more ultimates, so you know, for the next point, it's probably going to go Georgia Tech's way. They just are kind of in that position to capitalize.
Cumberland can, as we've talked about, go very fast, and that's what they need to do here, because Georgia Tech's are going to get these ults up and just spin them here if they can. They get the point for free, with only 1 kill on the Ginger. Nodi does end up going down, pressured out by Rigor Morse on the outside. Bar Soap low is forced to just loop around, and it leaves everybody else vulnerable. That's going to be Georgia Tech tying the map.
Cumberland looked very hesitant to engage that fight.
I think maybe they thought that Georgia Tech had all the ults already.
Yeah, and just thought maybe they were just going to lose it. Maybe they didn't want to wait and try to force him out. That's the only thing I think of. The Moira comes in. Okay, maybe it was just to get there faster, but it is going to be the Juno back. I mean, it is up to Heken. He has Blade here. There's a rally in the way, but nothing to pair with it.
Here comes the Blade in, already down their tank. Heken has a lot of work ahead of him. Gets 1 slice on All-Star, but All-Star lands the shot after that. Tops back up, and Cumberland's attack falls flat. Georgia Tech beat him to the punch.
I mean, it was a bold play from Heken. Georgia Tech, again, just had the ultimates. They were kind of just, they never spent any to win that last point and keep themselves, you know, tied it up. So they'll have their own Blade. They'll have an orbital laser with it. It's just going to come down to avoiding the Rampage. If the Rampage hits, orbital laser loses a ton of value. So making sure that Ginger doesn't get value is huge.
Rampage is huge. That's going to get 3, including both supports. So the healing of the orbital ray just now becoming an effect. Mikey is able to get all the kills. So despite Cumberland getting everybody low, the backline in particular, they can't quite seal it, Sam.
Yeah, I was actually, like, that was worst case scenario. I grimaced because I thought, oh no, that laser was getting no value, but they were able to kind of vibe through it, and we're back to a neutral here. Nodi has the pulse bomb. It's gonna probably stick to somebody here. They are on a flank, so a pulse bomb opens this up as I thought.
Nodi with all the time to back that up, but Cumberland doesn't have a whole lot of time to get to this point. 4v3 here inside, make it a 3v3 as Bar Soap ends up overextending. Caught past enemy lines. All-Star's just having a hell of a fight here. All-Star pretty much killed everybody. Once they got All-Star down, Cumberland finally made it through.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, again, you know, in the earlier points of this, All-Star was well protected and able to kind of just sit there and hit the shots they need to. And now, you know, it's just they're struggling to do it. On the other side of the coin, Cumberland, they're not able to just time their speeds correctly, so it's been a little bit odd for them. One flip from Georgia Tech wins this. They have a pull, they have rally. It's gonna be a tough fight. It may even just be a dry fight for them. You don't need to take it right away.
Nodi getting very aggressive already on a wide flank. Here comes Bar Soap trying to squeeze from both sides with the rally. All-Star caught early. Looks good here for Cumberland in this first fight. It's gonna take more to fend off this point. I mean, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. Well, but that's a classic Georgia Tech. You know, die quick so you don't
die quick, dry fight. Yeah.
Yeah. Just get it. Oh, we lost one. Let's go. We haven't seen this since the first fight, but they know they have one more shot. I do like that. Now they have both of their ultimates up, and they got Pulse Bomb out. It's only the laser and Rampage, and again, they've shown they can beat Rampage. They just have to make sure it hits, and they have to make sure they can keep the Queen in a visual position.
With the Terror Search out initially, but it's Cumberland who gets the kills, and the Rampage is
Oh,
massive.
wow.
That man, Rampage hit 3 after Ginger was able to get the initial pick. Cumberland move up 2-1. Whew, that one was nasty.
That was pretty good. Ginger hit huge there. Didn't even need the Rampage necessarily, but it came in huge. Mikey's going to go to the Genji here just to play, again, a little bit more and defensive on the flankers position. I do think it needs to happen. All-Star has High Noon. I mean, it's good. All-Star's been very, very good with those, but I see another Pulse Bomb that goes wide, and Heken's got a Blade, so it's hard to get value with this.
Deadeye does buy a lot of space, so Georgia Tech can go ahead and move up to the point without Nodi, and Heken threatening him the entire time. Bar Soap does fall once they make it there. Heken's looking to bring it back. Finds All-Star once again right out of the gate. Dashes through Hayden as well before getting taken out. Is it going to be enough? 2 players left here, including Mikey on the point from Georgia Tech. Jin as well, who seems to be the impossible horse to kill, but with no reinforcements, not going to last long this time.
These fights continue to be a little bit checkerboardy and scrappy because neither team's really wanting, neither really getting how they want these fights to go. Back to a neutral here with Georgia Tech coming up to their laser as the only real available ult on this fight means that Rigo has to come up huge, and this laser has to be perfectly timed. If this misses, the fight is as good as lost.
Oh, and it does not land. I mean, it's late. It was not perfectly timed. It was late. Cumberland go first. They go fast. Heekin is just slicing through everybody.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, and unfortunately now you're back in the dumps. You have a single ultimate.
Oh, they're staggering here.
Oh,
this could be the series.
What?
They're gonna have to swap. They got to swap the ball anyway.
It has to be.
It has to be a ball swap anyway.
It has to be. Yeah,
You're running out of time. These ticks are like 0.7 seconds.
Yeah, it'll be the ball. It'll be the last second. But look at those numbers from Cumberland. They have 4 ults. They're gonna play aggressive.
Both backliners are just purple as could be.
25.
Look like they just got giant black eyes. Oh my.
Wow.
The ball is back. I mean, there's still Georgia Tech hanging on by a thread, but I think that thread just got snipped by Heekin.
Yeah, I don't think there's much that can be done here. Cumberland just made New Junk City their playground here, and that was a solid series from both of these. Unfortunately, it's not a redemption for the side of Georgia Tech, but Cumberland absolutely showing that they are a top 10 team.
It was a hell of a performance from them today, no doubt.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, I was mistaken in Hybrid as map 5 and not map 4.
Yeah. Oh well. Look, I wanted to see 5. I want to see a full 7 from these squads.
I know.
Because I think that on a timeline, both of these teams, this goes a long distance. This goes the full 7 almost. I think it just kind of depends on the map mode picks here. Because when you look at things like Mikey's Pharah that dominated maps, you look at All-Star who absolutely just crushed it on these hit scans, the Widow in particular, just looked phenomenal. I mean, it just seems that
All-Star is a badass.
Yeah, All-Star has been insane on this hit scan. It genuinely feels like these teams are only restricted by the map and mode that they are on. And that literally almost decides the game here.
And the flexibility from Heekin, extremely impressive as well. Without that, Cumberland cannot even go into this composition whatsoever. It requires to have that hyper mobility. You can't have a traditional hit scan. They just get left in the dust in this comp. So Heekin being able to go from playing a traditional hit scan and making those killer jump shots we saw on Junkertown to turning around and playing this Genji and having such a high impact on the Genji as well. Impressive stuff.
I mean, and let's shout out one more player for flexibility, shall we? And that's Gingerfell. Like, I think that was at least 4 to 5 different tanks pretty consistently between Queen, Orisa, Zarya, showing that they have the flexibility to match the situation in front of them. This Cumberland squad is dangerous.
The Diva as well.
Yeah, I'm saying that the Diva. I knew I was forgetting one, but yeah, this Cumberland squad has phenomenal. Both of these teams have phenomenal squads, and this is tier 2. These guys could absolutely step up and punch into tier 1, I think, in a year or so. Give it a little more time. We'll probably see them making a dent like this in Nationals. I want to see this in the finals on tier 2, though, because this was a phenomenal heads-up match.
I mean, both of these teams are hungry to make it into that top 20 ranking, if not, top 16, top 10, and beyond, and hungry to make a mark here in collegiate. You can see it. You can see just how voracious both these teams were here in this play in NECC. I can't wait to see. As this semester goes on, I absolutely wouldn't surprise me to see either, if not both of these teams, not only in our playoffs, but in other playoffs across different collegiate tournaments around the scene.
Yeah. Speaking of the playoffs, though, those are a long ways away, but let's jump back and just check in to see, in case you only saw the first match, there was another match before this. Let's check in with the day earlier, and it was a great match as well. Fisher Navy versus the Bobcats was just incredible. We saw Peace and Nenwai, who came in for the side of the Bobcats, absolutely show that they have the ability to lend to a growing squad in the Bobcats.
Oh, BSC looks so strong this semester. Pantera, another new addition to this roster, leading on the front line, where Peace and Nenwai have a little bit of name notoriety behind him now. Pantera was a little bit more of an unknown. Looks so good on this Orisa all day long. BSC are here to play.
Yeah, but on the other side, Fisher Navy, look, maybe it's not your top squad, but this second squad looked phenomenal as well. So, between the the two different groups in the divisions, Div 1, Div 2, it's kind of almost just one big group. All of these teams have been playing phenomenally and just have such incredible skill that it's almost come homecoming, come nationals time, it is going to be no one's going to have a perfect bracket. No one's going to be able to predict this outcome of what team is coming out on top.
I mean, we're getting close. We're about halfway through this fall semester. I mean, it's November. We'll be homecoming, so it's we're getting close. These teams, you kind of smell it, and yeah, both these teams definitely feel like we could see them in Division 1 in future seasons, and not too far distant future at that. So
yeah, I think there's plenty of team. This is, again, I stand by this. I would love to see this in the finals for this season, for the split, because I think both these teams give them a little bit more time, and they will only grow. And you have to respect that. Both of these teams have phenomenal players, and I think the 3-1. Again, you'd loved if you have come back and got your revenge if you're Georgia Tech.
Sure.
But just wasn't in the cards. But
hey,
definitely in the future. Definitely in the future. There's definitely a better chance.
They'll get them next. All right, friends, that is going to do it for week 4 here at NECC. We appreciate you so much hanging out with us tonight. Be sure to go follow NECC_esports on Twitter, notified of all of the different titles that we have going on here. It's collegiate esports action all week long. And, we'll see you next week. Y'all be kind to each other. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye, friends.